everybody, and a very warm welcome to
Let's have a look at the grid then for heat number 1. Bayford Meadows, host of round number 11. Jack O'Neill won the championship 2 weeks ago. Apologies, that's the wrong graphic on our screen at the moment. We need a lightweight sprint heat number 1, so it'll be James Wattis on pole position for this first race. Steve Hicks alongside on the front row. Keith Segal and Alistair Irvin on row 2. Josh Adams and Rihanna Percox on row 3. Jed Toole and Joshua Sangster on row 4. Ed Bars and Thomas Barrett, row 5. Christopher Powell and Daz Teal on row 6. David Hamer and Justin Draper are into our novices now on row 7 overall. Alex Brandham and Simon Sharp on row 8. James Browning and Toby Stillwell, row 9. Toby Smith on row 9. Aaron Stillwell wrapping out the 19 kart field. You should now be able to hear us now on Comsbox Cam as well. Apologies, I hadn't put a fader up. Bad start. But yes, there is the circuit. And you mentioned it earlier, Howard. It's a strange one in a way, and we experienced it yesterday in the endurance race. Very low grip circuit. By that I mean even in dry conditions, it is very, very easy to spin up the rears, get the kart sliding, and not sliding in a good way, sliding in a way that's going to lose you time. We have had a bit of drizzle overnight. And it is November as well, so getting that moisture out the circuit takes quite a while. Yeah. These are going to be tricky conditions for the drivers.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting one. We had new tyres on the karts yesterday as well, so it was an exaggerated effect, if you like, to go out there for the first few laps in particular. It's worth saying, whilst it is November, it's actually fairly mild today for a November day at this time of the year. But nevertheless, it is a bit chilly. It can be quite a breeze across this circuit as well. So in between races, the tyres can cool off quite quickly. So, yeah, yesterday you and I were out there, mate, for the last of the endurance rounds of the season, and it was a very similar effect that we were experiencing. But today it's even more so because you've got that dampness, and the kart can feel quite clumsy, particularly during that tighter, twistier, as we're going around again one more time, the tight, twisty, I don't want to say, actually the first part of Sector 1 is actually quite similar to the end of the lap. It's quite high speed. But once you've got past this bit that we're going into now, once you go through 2, 3 and 4, which is a really interesting sequence of corners in of itself, they're going straight on here through the cut through because they're unrolling up laps, but you can see how you would go on down towards the infield hairpins. Those can feel really clumsy in these conditions, just huge understeer in these karts. Slick tyres, of course, in Club 100s come rain or shine. And tyre temperatures and getting the turn in with the karts, making the tyres work for you, certainly in the early phases of today, is going to be a real challenge. Does look like we are good for the off, though. James Wattis on your left, driver's right. Steve Hicks alongside in the number 21. And away we go for Heat 1 of our lightweights into turn number 1. You can see Keith Segal trying to make early progress here, but Steve Hicks has managed to tuck underneath James Wattis as they head towards 2, 3 and 4. Alistair Irvin trying to make progress as well on the outside of Segal, and Wattis is out wide and onto the grass. And that's going to be that's a disastrous start for his day, I'm afraid. He'll have to bring himself back onto the circuit. You can see there as well, we've had a strong start from Daz Teal. How far has he come up the grid? He started 12th and seems to be up there in second place, Andrew. That is one heck of a start there. Rihanna Percox and Ed Bars making a bit of contact in the mid-pack there as well. Chris Powell looking to capitalise. But yeah, Steve Hicks leads. Daz Teal with an amazing start up to second place. As they work their way now. This is going into the faster sector of the lap now. This is going to feel, I would have thought, a bit clumsy at this time in the day with that dampness still down on the track. But when everything's hooked up, this bit can feel quite nice as you throw the kart through these high-speed corners and then the short, sharp stab of the brakes on the chicane. And Chris Powell goes into a spin and tags the inside tyres, and he's going to have to wait. And who's that going around in sympathy as well? I think that's Toby Smith in the 164 as well. Steve Hicks leads, Andrew, but that wasn't an incident-free first lap.
No, as expected, it is very, very slippery out there for all of our drivers. And I know some of them have been out for a test session this morning. But when you're throwing yourself into competitive action and the track can be changing underneath you as well, it's very, very tricky on the first lap to know exactly where to brake, exactly where to turn in as Alistair Irvin goes down the inside of Keith Segal. That is for 6th place and lead in C2. For anyone new or wondering straight away what is the timing tower doing on the left with all those different colours, red number plates are your drivers in C1. That is the premier top class within lightweights. Black number boards are your C2s. And then your blue ones are C3s. Those are your novice drivers new to Club 100 this year. You'll also see that the red number boards are displayed on the carts out there on circuit. Steve Hicks coming round to finish lap number 2, leading from Daz Teal. But the four-man in this division is on the charge here, looking for that alternative line down the inside. Josh Adams is going to challenge him, though, and breeze by. Great move from Josh Adams. He's up to P2.
Yeah, brilliant drive off the corner. There's Rihanna Percox firing down the inside of 2, but Teal is going to immediately reclaim that through 3 and 4. That was a bold move from Rihanna there. She was looking for the opportunistic move, but Teal able to hold on to 3rd place. But I was amazed by the drive that that Josh Adams got off that first corner, Andrew. Yes, he got the undercut, as it were, coming through on the later apex, but it's quite damp on the inside of that, so that was quite a surprise to me.
Contact warning for Rihanna Percox in carts number 5. Contact warning for Daz Teal as well. As Ed Bars, it's the last day that he'll have the number 1 plate on his cart, at least in this sprints format. Josh Adams challenging Steve Hicks now for the lead of the race. 4 minutes to go. You see that curb on the left-hand side for the drivers. If they go beyond that, beyond the white line, that will be a track limits warning, because there is quite a nasty divot for the drivers at the end of the curb that JV and the team from Club 100 want the drivers to keep away from. Teal a little bit wide through turn 1. Almost a chance for Percox to get down the inside, but Teal blocks it off well.
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't seem quite as strong as some of those who are currently giving chase to him at the moment through that first turn. Meanwhile here, though, Josh Adams has been able to catch up onto the back of Steve Hicks for the lead of the race. By and large, our Class 1 runners, obviously, we saw the incident for Chris Powell at the... as Ed Bars is down the inside of Percox there into turn 6 as they go through this left-hander of turn 7. And there for the lead of the race, Josh Adams goes down the inside of the long left-hander at turn 8 and has been able to find what I think you and I were finding yesterday as well, mate. There is a surprising amount of grip on the inside of that long swooping left-hander.
Yeah, convention would tell you that you want to stay out quite wide initially on entry and take a late apex and then set yourself up for the next right-hander. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There is a good amount of grip on what normally would be considered the defensive line. It's simply that there's more bite, there's more grip to be had if you place your cart in that region of the circuit. So that's why you'll see some drivers doing that. Rihanna Percox down the inside of Ed Bars now and retakes 4th place. It's a good battle, this.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's very bold down that turn 2, but look at the drive that Barsbow was able to get, and you could see the way the cart was twitching as he stomped on the brakes for the hairpin. Getting the carts to slow down and turn in for these hairpins at this part of the lap, it feels clumsy by the standards of these Club 100 carts. And even through this left-hander at turn 7 going onto the back straight, honestly, I mean, it's a good little trap, this, but that particular corner onto the back straight feels so it feels like you're waiting an age to get the grip as you put the power down onto the back straight. And as I say, you go into this quite different final sector where it's really like you're sort of spiraling out, going into ever faster corners until you get to this stomping on the brakes of the chicane. Very important to spot your braking point and your turning right for that chicane. You want to be on the power as early as possible. You can't tag the tyres that are right on the apexes of that chicane. And then you want to swoop in through this right-hander at turn 1, which in of itself is a little bit of an interesting one because it's sort of, you've got the pit entry on your left-hand side, which obviously we don't expect to be seeing used today in sprints, unless anyone's managed to really attract the attention of the clerk of the course, as again Ed Bars struggles at the hairpin into turn 5, and Alistair Irvin is keen to pounce, but he's going to be on the outside now for 6, unless he can get the switch back and pull something onto the back straight. He may have an opportunity into the long left-hander. As we say, can he swoop to the inside line? He does go for a tighter line. And as we were saying, it doesn't do him it's not to his detriment, but he also can't find a way past at this time.
Yeah, it does make trying to do an overtake into that corner a little bit tricky. 50 seconds of this race to go. Time will expire And the next time the drivers cross the line, they'll see the checkered flag. We are now on to the last lap, and it's a new fastest lap of the heat so far from Joshua Adams, 64.623.
Shout out to Justin Draper, up to 7th place as one of our novice Class 3 drivers. That is a very, very respectable drive in the first heat of the day. Also some good battles going on in Class 3 as, again, Percox is going bold into this complex of corners here. She's going to be on the outside of turn number 5, and this is the thing, Andrew. Usually in damp conditions, that would serve you well, but
yeah.
there's no grip out there for some reason at the moment in these conditions. Good battles going on in Class 3, as I was saying. Toby Smith, I was going to say, was on the move. Something happened to him last lap, dropped down 4 positions, but good battles going on in Class 3 nonetheless, as Ed Bars is looking for any last opportunity to get by on Percox here for 4th place. We've got to keep our eyes peeled out front, though, because Josh Adams is coming round to take this win.
Well, a very good season so far from Josh Adams, and is looking to finish things with a flourish today. That's a brilliant start. Wins heat number 1 by 1.7 seconds clear of Steve Hicks. Rihanna Percox got Daz Teal on the line there for 3rd, but I don't think Teal was too happy about the move there. So for what it's worth, Percox provisionally 3rd, Teal 4th, Ed Bars in 5th place. Great drive from Alistair Irvin as well in 6th, and a really good drive from Justin Draper, the novice in C3, finishes in 7th, ahead of some established drivers, including Keith Segal, Josh Sangster, Jed Toole. That was your top 10. James Wattis, after the spin on lap 1, finishes in 11th. Aaron Stillwell is 2nd of the C2's home in 12th. Thomas Barrett, Toby Smith, Alex Brandom is your top 15. Tough race for Christopher Powell, and I think he's got a cone penalty out there as well. Finishes 16th. James Browning, David Hamer, and Simon Sharp. That was your field.
Love how close across the line it was between Hamer and Sharp. There's always someone for you to race, and there's
Yes.
just 1/10 in it. But yeah, that was the first heat of the day. Coming up next is lightweight heat number 2.
Back then here at Bayford Meadows, let's have a look at the grid for heat number 2. Dante Dillon has pole position for this one. Oscar Lancaster will join him on the front row. Bailey Morgan, happy birthday, Bailey Morgan.
Indeed.
Will start his birthday racing day on the 2nd row of the grid alongside Greg Smith, Fraser Brunton and Garrett Berry there on the 3rd row of the grid. Ned Douglas and James Martin start 7th and 8th respectively. Rob Langthorpe and Reese Pope wrap out the top 10. Anwar Barul Smith making his lightweights debut. There's something I didn't think I'd be saying when we were at Lid 2 weeks ago. Starts on the 6th row of the grid alongside Samuel Essery, who is already your C3 champion. Robin Kassam and Andy Berry are on the 7th row of the grid. We are into our C3 novices now, of course. Peter Sharp and George Lawler on row 8. Sam Morris and Andrew Bushell on the 9th row of the grid. That is your field. 18 karts in it.
Quite a Class 3 novice presence in this race is standing out to me here, mate. It's going to be one to watch, as you say. Already our Class 3 champion, Sam Essery.
So the interesting thing here, I think with Anwar being out there he is in kart number 105. It's often said that having a little bit more mass can be an advantage in these conditions because you want to get the tyres working, pressing the rubber into the ground.
Yes, but it is also said that this is not the friendliest circuit to the gravitationally challenged drivers out there. So it's going to be an interesting one. And I suppose we should clarify. He's doing this for fun, right?
Yes.
He's just doing this because he's got 2nd place in that heavyweights championship secured. So he figures he may as well. Let's just have a race against a completely different group of people and see how it goes. Greg Smith there coming through the chicane to finish off his warm-up laps. 12 heats coming your way. And so for the first rotation of those heats, for the first instance of each driver going out on track, they get these warm-up laps. We will not have this ahead of every single heat, but just for this first rotation. They all get a chance to warm up the karts, and they will be very glad of that because getting heat into the tyres right now is going to be crucial.
Mentioning that we've got Dante Dillon out there, Fraser Brunton as well, reminds me, next weekend we will be at Wilton Mill for the start of a brand new British University's Karting Championship season. 2 days of qualifiers. Great to have qualifiers back on an Alpha live stream. It's going to be quite different, I feel, to previous editions of qualifiers. For a start, a lot more teams, 63 teams on each day, and a different format for the teams as well, which is going to make qualifying for the mains championship, I think, a good chunk more difficult than it has been before. So do tune in for that. Myself and Howard will be providing commentary for it, and on all the stats as well.
Does mean we're also nudging about 250 drivers for Andrew and us to swat up on over the next week. But
excellent.
We love it. It's good fun. Here we go, though, for heat number 2.
Away we go. Good start for those on the pole side of the grid. Bailey Morgan trying to sweep to the outside to take P2, but that opens the door for Fraser Brunson to come the inside. Great start, though, for the pole sitter. Dante Dillon will lead into turn 2 for the first time. This is where we saw James Wattis in trouble in heat number 1. That is a much better start, though. Everybody is through the first couple of corners. It is Dante Dillon, though, as the number 19 of Ned Douglas. What a start that is from Ned Douglas up to P2, having started on the 4th row of the grid.
Yes, indeed, working their way through the hairpins now. And out onto this back straight, mid straight, some people are calling it. Fraser Brunson has got himself up into second place as Bailey Morgan goes down the inside of Ned Douglas for 3rd place and is able to find the grip on the inside as Anwar Barul Smith and Greg Smith are side by side behind them as well. And I think Greg has come out on top there.
He has indeed. Garrett Berry fighting back against Anwar Barul Smith, who then goes back down the inside. They're going to be side by side into the chicane.
Oh, and I think Anwar's going to have to get that. Oh, Greg Smith is round, and oh, dearie me, that is a terrible place to be facing the wrong way. Everyone has to squirrel around in avoidance. That's a disaster for Greg Smith. But was that just the moves between Anwar Barul Smith and Garrett Berry coming to bear on Greg ahead?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, we'll have to have a look at how the clerk of the course views that one.
Change for the lead. Fraser Brunson goes into first position. He's got past Dante Dillon there. Brunson has had a track limit warning, though, so needs to be careful in that regard. Biggest mover on the first lap was Reese Pope, who gained out of that contretemps on the last corner, was up 7 positions on the first lap. There he is, cart number 42, black suit with the black and dark blue helmet. He's up to 5th place.
You're saying how Dante Dillon reminded you of the fact we're doing BUKC next weekend. Change one letter, mate. BIKC as well for Dante Dillon, is it not?
Yes.
Champions in that from the British Indoor Karting Championship. A driver that we've been commentating on for a number of years. Very entertaining driver to watch. Can have some good battles out there.
Penalty for Anwar Barul Smith, ABC takeout. So that will be for the contact with Greg Smith. So not a good start for this year's runner-up in the heavyweights. That's plus 6 positions for wherever he finishes this heat.
Reese Pope managed to tuck underneath Bailey Morgan coming out of 1, has been able to convert that into 4th place by turn number 2. So the 42 driver now up behind Ned Douglas now in that 19 kart.
Yeah, he's having a really, really good run here.
Ned Douglas is wide. He's going to be compromised coming onto that back straight. Sorry, Andrew, to cut across. But yeah, loses out there to Reese Pope, who just about managed to keep it within track limits, which is good stuff there.
Yeah, it's the white line that defines track limits. As Garrett Berry's going for a move down the inside of Bailey Morgan. Reese Pope really on the move here. Is liking these low grip conditions. Berry again having a go at Morgan, but has to cede the position.
Difficult first race of the day, this, I think, Andrew, for Oscar Lancaster as well. He was up towards the sharp end on lap 1, and it's I'm not quite sure if he got maybe caught out in what was happening up at the chicane at the end of lap 1, but he's having to work his way back through. Sam Essery, underlining perhaps why he's comes away from this season the highest placed of your Class 3 runners, up in 8th place there, currently with Anwar Barul Smith for attention as Garrett Berry continues to battle with Bailey Morgan, and now James Martin's trying to get involved as well in the 64. So they will work their way into turn number 6.
Berry makes that move work down the inside. Does look like the track is improving, Howard. A number of drivers into the 1-minute 3s already with 3 minutes of this race to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Just for reference, if things were all dried out, if you're wondering how, because I think it's a hard track to quite judge the impact that damp conditions are having. Just for reference, a good dry lap time would be in sort of 55-second mark, even into the 54s for some of our top runners. So, yeah, still a lot of time to come back to the drivers out there as conditions hopefully improve.
Brunton extends his lead. It's 4 seconds now over Reece Pope and Dante Dillon. And a 1:03.35 won the fastest lap of the heat so far. Fraser Brunton, another driver who's had a fantastic season. Dante Dillon's had a track limits warning. So at the moment, Brunton from Pope, Dillon, Douglas, Berry, Morgan, Martin, Burrell Smith, but Burrell Smith has a significant penalty. Samuel Essery in 9th place. Robin Kassam having a really strong race as well here. He's only, 4/10 behind Essery. And Essery, of course, has dominated this season as Garrett Berry goes down the inside of Ned Douglas for 4th place.
One of the things we were talking about, actually, that long left-hander, it can feel like a sort of mirrored version of Stadium at Rye House, for those who are familiar with that, but it's actually quite different because, yeah, the conventional racing line, that was an amazing drive that Berry found to go past Dante Dillon there as well. So it's Garrett Berry up 2 in that lap, up to 3rd place. What a great lap from him.
And the race for the lead is not over here because Reece Pope has just popped in a 1 minute 1.676 and took nearly 2 seconds out of Fraser Brunson's lead here. Reece Pope has got tuned in with the conditions. He's absolutely flying, and is at that pace. He's going to close in on Fraser Brunton here and have a go on him on the last lap.
Down in Class 3, Andrew Bushell's just got past George Lawler for 14th place as Ned Douglas is side-by-side with Dillon here in turn number 8. But James Martin looking to capitalise as well. Dillon comes back at him. Brilliant stuff. Almost 3 wide going through some of the fast right-handers in the last sector. Not something that you see all that often between those 3.
I think Brunton just had a quick glance over his shoulder there to see that Reece Pope is closing in. He is aware of the threat from cart number 42. There's nearly 40 seconds of this race to go. There'll be one more lap.
It wasn't through the fast right-handers, was it? It was between the 2 hairpins they were doing that. I thought that was rather unusual. But on to the last lap we go, as you say, Andrew. 1.5 seconds the gap for the lead.
Fraser Brunton responds. He's into the 102s. If he can hold that pace and not make any mistakes on this last lap, he should win this heat. There is Bailey Morgan, cart number 14, born on the 14th of November. Going through a tricky turn 2 and turn 3, which really you have to treat it all as one corner. Running a little bit wide there. Dante Dillon's going to have a look round the outside. This is over 6th place. There's Anwar Burrell Smith as well. Can he take advantage of the situation? He's going to put himself down the inside of Bailey Morgan and have to go around the... In fact, no, doesn't have to go around the outside. Coming onto the back straight there because he's got the move done. Bit of a shake of the head there from Bailey Morgan. Not happy with things at the moment. But Fraser Brunton continuing to lead this race. He's going to come around the final corner and had to respond well there to the challenge as Anwar Burrell Smith goes down the inside of Bailey Morgan. Fraser Brunton takes the win. Reece Pope second, who will think he only needed one more lap there to get that one. Garrett Berry in 3rd, James Martin 4th, Ned Douglas 5th. Anwar Burrell Smith on the road at least finishes in 6th place but has a penalty. Dante Dillon 7th. Samuel Essery finished in 8th place on top of the C3s. Bailey Morgan, Oscar Lancaster, that was top 10 provisionally. Robin Kassam 11th. Tough race for Rob Langthorpe there in 12th. Andy Berry, Andrew Bushell, George Lawler. Is your top 15, and then it's Peter Sharp, Sam Morris and Greg Smith, the last of your finishers.
Yeah, tough last lap there for Bailey Morgan. Sam Essery, I just spotted him just go down the inside. I think it was into turn 9, that right-hander just after the long left. Just managed to get that spot off of him. So, yeah, moves right up until the last lap there here. And we're starting to flirt with the idea of going sub 1 minute with these lap times.
I think we'll be there in the not too distant future. We're going to take a short break on the commentary here from DDMM Double Dash Motorsport Media. Heat number 3 is up next. Let's have a look at the grid then for the 3rd heat of the day here in the lightweights. Tony Philbin has pole position. Alongside him on the front row will be Ramanas Tchaikovskas. Rogerio Mendez, who likes this place a lot, is on the 2nd row of the grid alongside Cameron Williams, Matthew Cockram and Steph Theodoru start their day on the 3rd row of the grid. Mike Hoppin and Dan Seeger go from row 4. The return of Steve Super GT Brown starts the day on row 5 alongside Bryn Alban, Andrew Ravage and Rizwan Mangat are there on the 6th row of the grid. Mangat the first of the novices. Dean Everest and Ross O'Brien are on the 7th row of the grid. Amy Breacher has had a great second half of the season. Starts today on row 8 alongside Russell Cooper, Jagjit Singh and Gareth Pritchard there on the 9th row of the grid. It's 18 karts in the field. So here we go. This is what the channel has been looking forward to. The return of Super GT to Club 100 action. Had a very exciting season racing in, well, started the season in Senior X30, then moved to Senior Rotax. Saw Steve a few weeks ago at Wilton Mill Kart Club. Had a new kart.
Yes.
Well, a new chassis. Performed very well. And yeah, had a smile on his face, which was always good to see. He has been enjoying his racing this year. It's good to see him back here in Club 100.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Brilliant to see him back. And I'm sure we've got plenty of supporters as well who are tuned in to cheer him on. So going to be good to see how he gets on. I think he's going to have his work cut out, though, today. As we've been mentioning, there's a lot of... say this lightweights round really does have the feel that, don't get us wrong, there are still some people fighting over the last few championship places out there, but it does have that feel just because the big ticket items have been ticked off in the championship of a sort of, you know, a sort of one-off event where several people have come along just to have a go. I'm sure there might be some drivers as well. It was interesting, it was great in fact to see quite a few newcomers testing here yesterday as well. I've no doubt that there are some people who are using this weekend with an eye on 2022.
Yes.
And taking the opportunity to just get their eye in on how a Club 100 round works and all of that ahead of maybe a full championship in the next season.
We should talk about as well, with it being the last round of the year, entries for 2022 will open up, I believe, before the end of the month. It's still provisional, of course, until the 31st of December.
Yes.
That's always the case. But we have now got a full plethora of circuits lined up. The return of Rye House onto the calendar, which is cool to see. But yeah, we'll talk more about that as we go along, because right now we are getting ready for the third heat of the morning here in the lightweights for round number 11. Oh, what's happened there? Someone gone onto the wrong side. Or are we good to go for this race? I believe we are. Away we go then. Tony Philbin will have pole position. There he is in the number 87. Gets a good start away from Ramanas Sakauskas. I do think he was on the wrong side of the order, though. As Sakauskas goes down the inside. Mike Coppin trying to work his way through there. There's Steve Brown in the middle of it all. Gets around the outside of Dan Seeger. Mike Coppin is already up to the first position. As off goes the number 13 there, Ramanas Sakauskas. Off stage right. Oh dear, that is not a good start for Ramanas Sakauskas, and it seems to be the most dangerous position to be in at the moment. That was very similar to the incident that saw James Martin leave the scene in the first race.
Wattis, yes. James Wattis, I think it was, who went off,
sorry,
wasn't it? Yeah. But I am amazed that went as cleanly as it did. They were going 4 wide into turn 1 there, Andrew. I was very impressed by the way that Coppin positioned his car to come out tops out of that one. As further down the order, there's plenty of battles going on there through the fast left-hander, which is getting ever faster as the track dries up. You can see Amy Breacher making a few early moves there up the field, but coming round to finish this lap.
Oh, I think there's a penalty.
Is that a penalty coming in?
Forcing driver wide for Mike Coppin. I imagine that's for the incident involving Ramanas Sakauskas on turn 2.
Dan Seeger going down the inside of Rogerio Mendez, I believe that is, into turn number 1.
So effectively, with that penalty, it's taken less than a lap for Steve Brown to get back up to the front of a Club 100 field.
Well, of course it did, because I said he had his work cut out, so he's now inevitably just going to storm everything. Battling away there is Andrew Rabbage and Matthew Cockram, as there's a driver off there into the first hairpin.
Yeah, I think that may have been Ross O'Brien, the number 23. We'll check it in a moment, but there is now your effective leader, Steve Brown. Remember, it's a position penalty, so if Steve's done his research and identified Mike Coppin as the number 3, we'll know that he just needs to sit on the back of Mike Coppin's rear bumper now, push him along, consolidate his lead, And yes, it was the number 23 of Ross O'Brien with that spin. Has got going again. Here's 5th, 6th and 7th positions. Matthew Cockram in the number 30. Dan Seeger there in the blue suit, number 28. And Rogerio Mendez, cart number 101.
Drama on that last lap for Jagjit Singh as well, Andrew. He's dropped towards the back as well as Ross O'Brien. So perhaps one to forget for him. Dean Everest up to 8th place. And Bryn Oldham with a good lap there as well, up to 9th. But this is still Cockram and Seeger on your screens battling through the hairpins. Seeger's going to presumably get better drive onto that back straight. Is that going to give him the opportunity down the inside into 8? He's going to take the tighter line, but I don't think he's going to have the overspeed to sling on by.
Penalty for Amy Breacher. It's another takeout penalty. So that'll be plus 6 positions for Amy relative to wherever she finishes this race. I think that may have been for the incident with Ross O'Brien because they were in the same region of the circuit. New fastest lap of the race so far is Seeger and Cockram still going side by side. Seeger's not too happy about that. Mendez will nip through and take 6th place as a result. Steve Brown's pushing here, Howard, a 60.357. Was 0.8 quicker than Mike Coppin last time around.
I wonder if he'll have clocked. Was he close enough to Coppin at the time that Coppin was reacting to the penalty to know that it applied to him, perhaps? Not sure. Not sure. I'm sure he'll want to take the win on the road anyway, if at all possible. As Cockram now defends against... Oh, and there's the change. There we go. That's a job done. And Coppin tags the back, but he knows he's got to concede that place. Can't be retaking that position through means of contact. But yeah, that is change for the lead on the road. It was already how it would have played out post the race because Coppin has a penalty hanging over him. But Steve Brown, Super GT, to the head of the field.
Supreme work from Steve Brown, a former champion in the sprints competition, of course, and pushed the likes of Joe Holmes in the heavyweights very, very hard in the last recent couple of years. Here he is in the lightweights. He is one of those drivers that's kind of he's a little bit tall, which tends to lean towards a bit more weight as Mike Coppin goes down the inside. He has flitted between the lights and the heavies the last few years.
He did not have good drive through the first hairpin there, did Steve. Lost out a lot of time to Mike there. That's why Coppin has been able to get back out in front, seized the opportunity. Of course, even if he can't take the outright win with the penalty, Coppin obviously wants to... It's position penalties always in Club 100 sprints, so he'll be wanting to negate that by, he still needs to fight for every single position out there. As I wonder how it looks like we're taking this corner a lot faster now. Still not up to full speed.
Almost a dry line forming there, and yet 59.453 from Mike Coppin, the first driver under the 60-second mark. Steph Theodorou having a very strong race here as well. We've not mentioned enough. Leading in C2 at the moment, 3rd overall. Pace is strong, 60.611 last time around from the driver in cart number 85. Changes going on in C3. You can see Jagjit Singh's got past Tony Philbin. Amy Breacher also overtook Russell Cooper and Gareth Pritchard on that last lap.
In theory, this is the easiest heat of the day for Mike and Steve, insofar as this is a field that is fairly light on Class 1 presence. We've been talking about these different classes, just to reiterate the point. Everyone has the same machinery here in Club 100. Your classes are based off of experience, past success. So it's not a guarantor of the pecking order, but it's what one would expect on balance.
You mentioned, Steve Brown puts in a 58.488. The pressure building on Mike Coppin to win this race on the road. In a World Cup or a European Championships, there's often talked about a group of death when a lot of big names end up in it. I think we've got a heat of death later on today, haven't we? Heat number 10 in particular.
We do, rather. That is the one that when you're looking through the grid, you go, oh, okay, this is going to be fun. So, yeah, this is going to be some of the easier points to put on the board for these two, which may well be, a bit of a costly penalty for Mike.
I did put my foot in it last night, though, didn't I? We were having a chat with Jack O'Neill in the hotel. I said, oh yeah, there's that great heat that's got everybody in it, forgetting that Jack's the only one who's not in it.
He got the gist. It was good. It's fine.
Last lap, though, Mike Coppin will take the race on the road, but has a penalty. So Steve Brown, on his return to Club 100, first race, takes the race victory in the result. Good result for Steph Theodorou as well. P3 overall, wins in C2. Andrew Rabbage, a really strong run there to 4th place. Rogerio Mendez in 5th. Dan Seeger 6th. Matthew Cockram 7th. Bryn Albin in 8th. Dean Everest, the first of the C3s, home in 9th. Ramanas Sakauskas recovers, having been out on lap 1, finishes 10th there. Jagjit Singh across the line in 11th. Tony Philbin, Gareth Pritchard, Russell Cooper and Amy Breacher take us down to 15th. Breacher does have a penalty, though. And then we should be seeing Ross O'Brien and Rizwan Mangat finishing in 16th and 17th. You can just see them going around the last couple of corners there. Both of them had incidents in that race. As I say, waiting for them to come round. There is Ross O'Brien across the line in 16th. And as I say, Rizwan Mangat will be the last driver over the line in 17th place. Good race, that. Good to see Steve Brown back in a Club 100 kart, and clearly he's not lost it. He's still got that form.
Yeah, and some good good battles and coming up the field. Just mentioned, Sakauskas recovering to 10th. Jagjit Singh as well was down at the back of the order at one point as well. So some good recovery drives out there as well. There in heat number 3. We're already, though, getting ready with our warm-up laps for heat number 4.
Last heat of the first rotation, so all of these drivers haven't competed so far. Dan Healy has pole position for heat number 4. Archie Hobson alongside on the front row. Stephen Westwood and Mike Philippou are on the second row of the grid. Jack O'Neill, the new champion in this category, alongside Dom Cliff on the third row of the grid. Chris Lewis-Evans and Callum Brule start on row 4. Aidan Rudge and Michael Preston on row 5. Owen Jenneman and Kim Ely are on the 6th row of the grid. Kim, the first of the novices. James Dunnett and Matthew Cliff on row 7. Tim Crowter and Gratchan Kalvinsky on row 8. Tim Clark completes the 17 kart field. Lots of Titan Motorsport in this one, Howard.
Lots of
We've
Titan
got
Motorsport.
Jack O'Neill in there. Owen Jenneman, I commented last night, was astonishingly quick when I last saw him race here at Bayford Meadows.
Yes.
A few months ago. And you've got Mike Philippou in there as well.
Yeah, good showing from the Titan folks in this one. Very successful operation in Club 100. It has been quite sometimes it's been a bit of the Titan Motorsport show over in the Endurance Championship this year. In fact, unusually yesterday having an issue with the throttle cable, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That actually denied them that victory. But it has been an extremely impressive showing from them in that format this year.
Comsbox Cam, one of our mods, David Whitehouse, DW Media, is feeding the stats into Comsbox Cam. Just to mention that Justin Draper, as a novice, got 6th place in the end in heat number 1 because of penalties for other drivers. You also, if you come across to Comsbox Cam, get to see... I mean, the pictures that you're seeing here on the Alpha live stream are brilliant, but they're not Howard Mitchell dancing to the grid music. So that's what you get to see across here on Comsbox Cam.
As I understand it, you can't hear that grid music on...
No, you
Comsbox.
can't.
So that's why you need
just
both.
him jigging around.
That's why you need both. That's why you need your Alpha live stream up first and then bring up Comsbox Cam, because otherwise I'm dancing to silence and I must come across as mad. It's only with the music that I come across as sane and wholesome.
You keep telling yourself that, dear. Right, last heat of the first rotation. Dan Healy has had a good record around this circuit in recent visits, particularly on live streams. Archie Hobson looking for a good start as well. Dan Healy on the inside with pole position. There's Jack O'Neill. You see him in the Tyson Motorsport suit. Starts this race from the third row. Away we go for the fourth heat. Good start for those in the first 3 rows. And look at that. Jack O'Neill has already got up to second place, at least momentarily. As I think Dom Cliff's had a good start as well. Yeah, the number 11 into turns 2 and 3 we go. The first braking zone. Everybody, no, Dom Cliff's gone round there. Kart number 11. Mike Philippou's coming through as well. Everybody jostling in there. You can see Michael Preston in the white suit, white and blue suit there. University of Southampton racer We'll probably see him in the BUKC next week at Wilton Mill.
One of the good sequence of corners for Jack O'Neill as well there, Andrew. I think he's, in fact, he's now behind his Titan counterpart of Gemman, I think, there. They come through the long left-hander.
But Dan Healy away and gone. So won on the last visit here in the A final. Does like this place. Another one who had a birthday recently is Jack O'Neill down the inside of Callum Brule there into the chicane. A little bit of a hand up there. And in fact, an ABC takeout penalty for the champion. As Owen Genman goes down the inside. I said, look out for him. He is very, very talented around this circuit. So even before the penalties are applied, that is Genman up to 4th place on the road.
Yep, and Genman was setting some decent pace as well this morning in this morning's test session. I can't remember if he actually finished it on top. Certainly he was setting the early pace in the first half when I was keeping an eagle eye on the timing screens. Callum Brule still doing battle there as they come onto the back straight, trying to get by on the 1-2-5 of Aidan Rudge as O'Neill's having a look at Genman here into turn 8 and gets the job done. So that is a pass betwixt Titan Motorsport drivers there as they come through this fast right-hander, getting a lot quicker now. You can see the dry line forming there. Dan Healy sets a 58.3. Stephen Westwood with the fastest lap of the race, 58.2. Times are tumbling, Andrew.
I think that's another penalty for Jack O'Neill for a BAP.
I wonder if that was for what happened with him and Gemini. As down the inside goes James Dunnett on Matthew Cliff, but he's going to go all the way out wide to that that sort of salvation curbing that's actually angled back towards the track. You're not supposed to, that is a violation of track limits. You're not allowed to just use that as standard, but went out wide on there, and it allowed Matthew Cliff to take the position back again, so he remains in 13th place.
Glints of sun coming out here in Sittingbourne. Or just about, maybe I'm being a bit ambitious there. 4.5 minutes of this race to go. Mike Philippou. Another regular on a Saturday, particularly in the endurance effort of Titan Motorsport. Down the back straight they go. Dan Healy's lead is 3.2 seconds. Cone penalty for Dom Cliff. It's a tough race, this, for Dom Cliff. David Whitehouse, DW Media, reminds me, Genman was fastest in testing this morning in the 30 minutes.
He was. Yep.
30-minute session, so showing his form. Down the inside there goes Stephen Westwood on Mike Philippou. Mike Philippou jumps back through, though, retakes second place on the road. Good battle, this. And Stephen Westwood, a driver this year who I really feel has taken a big step forward. It's been a bit of a breakthrough year for him, the best performances that we've seen. Over, let's say he's been doing Club 100 for about 4 seasons now. Yeah,
good pace from Westwood, although he's out wide there in turn 8 and loses out to Jack O'Neill. But when he's getting a clean lap here, his pace is showing through. Had the fastest lap of the race a lap or so ago. Just underlining, yeah, he's got that pace under him, Andrew, and I agree. He's had a very strong showing this season here in Club 100 Sprints. Jack O'Neill sets a 56.8. We are very nearly on to those dry lap times at this point here at Bayford Meadows. So long as you keep it on that dry racing line, you are on to a winner, as Jack O'Neill is up onto the back of Mike Philippou. Another, what's the right word, internecine battle within the Titan Motorsport ranks, I believe is the correct correct term. And he goes down the inside of hairpin 6, but he's going to be compromised onto the back straight. Philippou's going to try and come back at him. Struggles to keep that one within track limits as well, Philippou. Got to be careful that he doesn't do that too many times. So Jack O'Neill up to second place, 4 seconds the gap to Dan Healy out at the front of this race.
Yeah, it's been a very, very good drive from Dan Healy, all set up from that first lap. We mentioned in C3 that Matthew Cliff is currently the leader in C3 by about 1.5 seconds as Owen Genman sets a new fastest lap of the race, the fastest lap of the day so far, 56.348. So we really are on, I mean, you can very much see a dry line now. It's the part of the circuit that doesn't have that sheen across it. But I think what that will mean now, Howard, is that if anyone's trying to get, you know, do an overtaking manoeuvre and has to go off that dry line. It's going to be really tricky for them now to keep the cart under control.
Absolutely. I still think there are some challenging parts of the lap going into that first hairpin at turn number 5. There's a surface change just as you're at your turning point from a grippier surface to a much less grippy. If you get that turning point wrong, you're going to be struggling to get the drive, the turn into that corner, and you're going to be compromised between the two hairpins. So still some bits of this lap where there's the finer points really do matter. Is that kind of circuit, though. It's quite a technical track here at Bayford Meadows. Jack O'Neill with a new fastest lap of the race, trying his best to reel in Dan Healy for the lead of this race. Has just taken 0.8 of a second out of him, but we are now just with 60 seconds on the clock, in fact less than. So it's going to have to be a gargantuan effort if he's really going to get onto the back of Healy and challenge.
Some of our esports/sim racers are having a battle out there. Michael Preston, who we've seen a lot in the Club 100 iRacing Championship this year, has just got past Callum Brule of the GT Sports Championship. If any of those take your fancy, all of their races are over on the DDM YouTube channel for you to watch. We'll be back Wednesday night for the culmination of that iRacing Championship for 2021. We've got some guest drivers in that as well, making returns. So will be exciting to commentate on. So you can watch all of that from 7:15 on Wednesday night. Last lap board is out, though, for the leader of the race, Dan Healy. 2.7 seconds is his advantage over Jack O'Neill. And, well, it's good in a way that Jack has got this all wrapped up, because this is going to end up as a drop score once the penalties are applied. He's got 10 places of penalties at the moment.
Yes, very true. Very true. It has not been the cleanest run up the field here for O'Neill. Sun bearing down on the circuit now. If you've not got a tinted visor out there, you're going to know about it.
Just to inform viewers at home, of course it is Remembrance Sunday. We will be having a 2-minute silence at 11 a.m, which may well be that after this very race that we'll have the pause for that. Last lap, though, for Dan Healy. Round the final corner, takes a race victory. Good start to Dan Healy's day. Jack O'Neill has the fastest lap of the race so far, and of the day so far, with a 55.482. Finishes second, but has a lot of penalties. So Mike Philippou will inherit that second place. Owen Genman will also inherit a position, having finished fourth on the road. Stephen Westwood, top of the C2s there, fifth overall. Michael Preston, Aidan Rudge, Callum Brule, Archie Hobson, Chris Lewis-Evans is your top 10. Dom Cliff in 11th, and then your C3s will bring us home over the line. There is Dom Cliff in 11th place. There is James Dunnett. Good drive from James. Finishes 12th overall and top of the C3s. Matthew Cliff will be next. In fact, no, Tim Clark's got the position on the last lap. Tim Clark takes 13th place ahead of Matthew Cliff. Grachan Kalvinsky will finish behind Kim Ely there. So Kim gets ahead of Grachan for 15th place. That's the 16 runners to complete heat number 4.
And I think I'm just hearing here, mate, that the decision is that we're going to go for the 2-minute silence at this point.
Yep.
So that we definitely get it in. We're not racing around having not served one by 11 o'clock. So it is indeed Remembrance Sunday, and it's at this time that we're taking the opportunity to pay our respects and have our thoughts around those who have given their lives in conflicts around the world. 100 rightly paying their respects on this Remembrance Sunday. Coming up next for you here at the circuit here at Bayford Meadows will be lightweight sprint heat number 5. Let's take a look at your grid then for heat number 5 for round 11 of the Club 100 Lightweight Sprint Championship for 2021. Anwar Barul Smith will start this lightweight heat from pole. You have not entered an alternative reality. He is guest starring in our lightweight ranks today. Reece Pope alongside. We saw him have quite a bold start with his earlier heat. Ed Bars and Thomas Barrett are on row number 2. Cameron Williams and Ramanas Sakauskas make up row number 3. Row 4 is going to be Dante Dillon and Bailey Morgan. Mike Coppin and Matthew Cochran round out the top 10 with Rihanna Percox and Toby Smith on row number 6. Next up will be Aaron Stilwell and Dean Everest. Alex Brandon and Amy Breacher on row number 8. Andy Berry and Gareth Pritchard will round out your 18-cart grid for heat number 5. First heat of this second rotation, so we will not be having the warm-up laps. Going straight into it, Andrew, and that's going to be an interesting one, not least because the track conditions, I think, are changing quickly here.
Track conditions changing. Also, all of the big names that I'm seeing, probably with the exception of Reece Pope, have improvements to make, I feel, in this very race. You know, Anwar didn't have a best of first heats. Mike Coppin had a penalty in his. Ed Bars didn't have the best of first heats. So, yeah, I think we've got a couple of drivers that really do need a decent, say, a top 3 results here. As we catch a glimpse of Nicky Richardson there. In shorts, I wouldn't expect anything else at this time of year.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. You were talking in the last heat about how a dry line is forming, and it's going to be difficult if you're offline. Well, when you're going 2x2 at a race start, you by definition need somebody to not be on that racing line. So it's all going to be about scrabbling for that dry tarmac as we're getting ready for the start here. Very quick rolling up lap that we do here at Bayford Meadows. There's a cut through from turn 3 right through to turn number 10. That means that it's basically an oval circuit. So that means we are already good for the go here. Anwar Barul Smith on pole in the 105. Reece Pope alongside in the 42. Eyes on the lights, engine notes rise, and away we go for heat number 5. And Anwar Barul Smith looks to take the advantage into turn 1. Ed Bars is going to try and go down the inside of Reece Pope as there's a bit of jostling in the rear and someone is round towards the back. Reece Pope and Ed Bars still side by side as they come into 2, as Bailey Morgan is currently leading the rest of the pack behind them. Was that a clip of the tyres coming out of 4? That's quite unusual to collect tyres there. Yeah,
I think it was Rihanna Percox who we saw going across the screen like the flash there. I couldn't even tell who it was initially, but Rihanna Percox is off the back of the field. Who else joined out there? Is it the number 156? In that case, it'll be Andy Berry. Yeah, not quite sure what happened there to Rihanna. She started 11th on the grid.
Yeah, she's well down the back of this field, though, isn't she now? As Mike Coppin chases Ramanas Sakauskas through this last sector. And it's quite wide from Sakauskas there out of 10. He wants to not do that so much, else he'll attract the attentions of race control. But at the end of lap number 1, it is our pole sitter, Anwar Barul Smith, who leads ahead of Ed Bars. As still, there's a challenge going on for Sakauskas. Dante Dillon, though, now trying to depose Mike Coppin of 6th place.
As expected, track limit warning for Ramanas Sakauskas. Bailey Morgan's got one on the first lap and a contact warning for Mike Coppin here. Trying to find his way past Ramanas Sakauskas. These two have already had some fighting so far out there on circuit today, and he's got through.
That's exactly what I was talking about earlier about that hairpin, that turning point. If you miss it, you'll find yourself out in no man's land. That's exactly what Sakauskas just had then. Couldn't get the cart to bite in that latter phase of the entry to the first hairpin.
Bumper pass penalty for Mike Coppin now. It's not a good day so far.
Yeah.
For Mike, and in this fight for trying to secure one of those top 5 trophies, this is not what he would have wanted. It's particularly with Daz Steele in such good form at the moment. Penalty also for Gareth Pritchard, and a penalty now for Ramanas Sakauskas for the track limits. So he's got 2. And they did say yesterday, there was a little bit of a second briefing to the drivers in the endurance race to say, look, the track limits are are not good enough, and it was going to be one strike and then a penalty, and that's exactly what's happened to Ramanas there. He's had 2 infringements, and that's resulted in place deductions at the end of this race.
And there's 3 key points around this lap. They're looking at track limits. One of them is here on the exit of 6 onto the back straight as Anwar Brule-Smith goes defensive on Ed Bars into turn number 8. And they all bunch up behind him now, this top 4 of Brule-Smith, Bars, Pope and Morgan. They're heading towards the next point that's of particular concern to the stewards with regards to track limits, which is the exit of this one, turn number 10. And then as they come out onto the start-finish straight to begin a new lap, it's out of turn number 1 that is that 3rd spot where track limits are being particularly monitored here, because you've got that exit curve that is banked towards the circuit, but you're not supposed to be using it. It does risk damaging the carts.
Cone penalty for Rihanna Percox. Not a good run at all for Rihanna in the number 5 as well, and for Aaron Stillwell. There may be a second briefing coming here, I feel, after this one. 3 minutes and 45 to go. Still this great battle at the front of the field, though, between 4 drivers. And Reece Pope's having a great day so far. Look at this, challenging Ed Bars for second place. He's up the inside into the long left-hander. Can Bars hold it round the outside? No, he can't. Reece Pope is through.
Brilliant move by Reece Pope, using that inside grip of turn number 1. Bailey Morgan with a cheeky fire down the inside as well, as there's yellows out at the next corner. Not quite sure what that's for. Perhaps the replacing of some tyres maybe that have been knocked somewhere, because there is a cone penalty issued for Aaron Stillwell. That was a number of minutes ago, I believe, as there are track limit warnings coming in for Dante Dillon and Ramanas Sakauskas. They've really got to be careful with these. And a penalty for Bailey Morgan, ABC bump and pass. That presumably is for the move on Ed Bars, I would have thought. It was a fairly cheeky manoeuvre. Costly won this one for Thomas Barrett, Andrew. Dropped down the order a couple of laps ago. Amy Breach, currently your highest placed Class 3 driver, and she is she featured quite prominently within the Class 3 ranks of this season. In fact, she's second within Class 3.
Second within the points in C3.
Yeah, showing why she's positioned so well there. But Dean Everest as well, who had a good heat earlier on, as well. It's quite close.
Reece Pope has just been reminded by DW Media. Reece Pope going for second place in C2.
Yes.
Against Alistair Irvine. So this is a really big start for Reece in that fight.
Yep. Good point. Good point. Another track limit warning for Dante Dillon. Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. They, as Andrew said, they weren't in the mood for messing about with regards to that yesterday, because it is definitely a way in which you can gain quite the advantage around this circuit. I've spoken about how the corner they're going through now on your screens can feel very clumsy. It feels distinctly less clumsy if you open up the steering and use all of that concrete runoff. The reason it's there, as far as I understand it, is there is a club layout to Bayford Meadows where they would actually cut to the right there and come out onto the start-finish straight. So that's why there's a tarmac on the runoff there. Yeah, and it's actually, if you go and use the runoff there is some geo-block just beyond the curb on the exit of that corner they've just gone through. If you get on that, in these conditions, that's not going to be fun, because that's still going to be slippery as a slippery thing.
We are properly into dry lap times now. 54.614 is the fastest lap of the heat so far, put in by Mike Coppin, currently 5th on the road. Dante Dillon having a strong race, is in 6th place now, a bit on his own though. Some 6 seconds behind Coppin, but 2 seconds ahead of Amy Breacher. And Breacher and Everest, 2 C3s, as we say, having a really good day. Have both got past on circuit Ramanas Sakauskas, so even before the penalties have been applied to the number 13. It's really good stuff again, and good for next year, I feel, as well, going into 2022.
Yep.
You know, you take an example of Greg Smith this year.
Did
very well in C3
just
last year.
Yeah.
Moved up into C2. The big thing being, it moves a C3 driver from starting all of their heats towards the back of the field and into the pack, and to the front of the pack at times as well, as it all works itself out. We've got some drivers who I think are going to be a big competitive additions to that part of this field for 2022. The likes of Everest, the likes of Breacher, and Samuel Lesser, of course, our C3 champions. It's something I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always interesting to see the progression as Ed Bars goes down the inside of Bailey Morgan. This is on a last lap battle here over 3rd place, and he's made that stick. Bear in mind, Bailey Morgan does have that position, that penalty hanging over him for an ABC bump and pass penalty, which we believe was for a move on Ed Bars.
Yeah.
So perhaps a bit of insult to injury on that particular occasion, unfortunately. But as they come round here, it is going to be Anwar Barul-Smith who's going to take the win in lightweights. Heat number 5, he came here to have a play with some of the lightweight runners, and he's converted that into a victory. Reese Pope finishes a strong second, Ed Bars in third, Bailey Morgan in fourth, but with penalties to be applied. Mike Coppin in fifth, but also with penalties to be applied. Dante Dillon in sixth. There's Amy Breachy, your highest placed Class 3 runner, in seventh, with Dean Everest behind. Toby Smith goes up to 10th. Something's happened to Ramna Sakauskas on that last lap because Matthew Cochrane's got up into 10th. Sakauskas in 11th, and it's Thomas Barrett. Rihanna Percox, perhaps one to forget there for her, in 13th. Aaron Stillwell, Andy Berry, Gareth Pritchard in 16th, but he also had a penalty, which means he will probably be classified behind the 17th on the road, finishing Alex Brandon.
We'll take a very short break. Heat 6 is up next. Very quick grid then. Daz Teal will have pole position. Christopher Powell alongside on the front row. Rob Langthorpe and Greg Smith, row 2. Archie Hobson and Keith Segal on row 3. Said it was going to be a quick grid because away we go for the start of the race. Daz Teal in the cart number 6 takes us from pole position. Great start for Greg Smith there from 4th on the grid. Runs a little bit wide, may get a TLW for that, but is up to 2nd place. Rob Langthorpe holding in 3rd there. The rest of them filing through. Fraser Brunson's in this race as well, so look out for the number 71 trying to come through the field. But a really good start there from Daz Teal.
Rob Langthorpe needs a better heat this time, Andrew. He struggled to make progress up the field in his first heat, I noted. So he'll be looking to capitalise on this, his best heat grid start of the day. I don't think we've covered yet, for anyone who's unfamiliar. Across the heats, each driver will take part in 3 races, and they will have randomised grid slots over the course of that, such that each driver has the same average grid position. So what that means in the practice is you're going to have a good grid position, a medium grid position, and a really not so good grid position, and it's about converting all of them to the most points possible, as Jack O'Neill went for a move on Keith Segal there, Andrew, and it did not pay off for him in turn number 8.
Yeah, one does not overtake Keith Segal easily. Now that from experience. 6 minutes to go in this one. End of lap number 1 as Fraser Brunson looks down the inside of Greg Smith, takes 3rd place, and Rob Langthorpe was wide there. Brunson will take advantage of that and get 2 places for the price of 1. Greg Smith now down the inside of Rob Langthorpe. Does the block pass through turn 4. Oh, as Langthorpe tries to fight back. Clips a tyre or 2. Powell's another one who needs a good run in this one. Did not have a good first heat of the day. There he is in 5th.
Yeah, contact warning for Greg Smith, I presume, for that move. It looked firm but fair for me. But I think Langthorpe maybe... it's easy to say in hindsight and here in the warm comms box, maybe should have given that up and lived to fight another corner. Now has the penalty applied for cone penalties.
Yeah, I have to say I do agree with that one. Did we also mention the penalty that was awarded at 11:14?
I'm not sure we have. ABC bump and pass for Fraser Brunton. So that is 4 positions to be deducted from wherever he finishes in this one. At the moment running in 2nd place as Ned Douglas is down the inside of Chris Powell through turn number 1. And Powell not too happy. That looked all right to me. That looked fine. All kept within track limits as well for both drivers.
Yep. Ned was in control of his kart at all times. He's not going to disappear on the apex of a corner. 4.5 minutes of this one to go. Rob Langthorpe now looking down the inside of Greg Smith. And can he get it done on the exit? That's a good move. That's a really good move from Rob Langthorpe. It's one of those that on the entry to the corners, Ned Douglas is now down the inside of Greg Smith. The door can be open. Yes. But if you take too much speed into there and you get a load of understeer as you go through turn 5 and then wash out, you can get re-overtaken as you come onto the back straights. That was very nicely managed by Rob Langthorpe in that situation. Ned Douglas showing some speed today. He's now challenging for the position of 3rd. And there's a penalty for Rizvan Mangat for a takeout, so that'll be +6. For Mangat at the end of this race, and unfortunately he's fallen all the way down to the back of the order as well. In fact, was it on Jack O'Neill? Because Jack O'Neill's fallen down the order to 15.
You know,
what a bizarre day the new champion is having here. Has already had one not so good result. This is going to be a 2nd. Jack O'Neill is in danger of not making the A final here. Yep,
absolutely. Ned Douglas and Rob Langthorpe swapped positions briefly in the first hairpin there. I want to give a shout out to a driver. I don't think we've mentioned him yet today. Archie Hobson, coming up onto the back of this pack, was having some good battles in the mid-pack of his earlier heat, I noted. Had a sort of reasonable finish in that one, and is now onto the back of this train of carts. So he's going to be there ready to pounce in the number 33 should any of this come to blows. And indeed, to be honest, he's got the pace that means he might be pouncing even if there isn't anything coming to blows. Might be able to set up an opportunity here, although Powell at the moment in that 56 car challenging Greg Smith did not have a good first heat earlier on, did Christopher Powell?
No.
Was quite far down the order after, I think, a first lap ruckus as Greg Smith goes down the inside of Ned Douglas at turn number 3. And now Powell is having to defend against Archie Hobson. And Ned Douglas does to Greg Smith what Rob Langthorpe basically did to him a lap ago and swoops up the inside of the first hairpin. So it is now Ned Douglas up into third place, which, bear in mind, becomes a net second come the end of this one because Brunton has got a penalty to be applied that will dock him 4 positions.
I could see Archie Hobson having a good run here. Another one of the Warwick BUKC contingents of recent graduates. Biscuit connoisseur likes his hobnobs.
He does.
That's why he's got it written on the back of his helmet.
Other biscuit products
that's
are
a Club
available.
100 fact.
It is. Chris Lewis-Evans up to 10th place ahead of Andrew Bushell and Ross O'Brien getting past Robin Kassam as well. In fact, as I say that, Jack O'Neill is swooping through the Class 3 ranks at the moment, trying to recover this one from whatever issue befell his race earlier on. There, though, is your that's your lead battle. The number 6 of Daz Till, Fraser Brunton, with penalty to be applied, but albeit there in second place on the road.
Yep. So Daz Teal in a good position either way, because they are a long way clear of the rest of the pack. 6.7 seconds is the gap between Teal in the lead of the race and Langthorpe in third place, or at least it was on the last count. 2 more laps for the drivers then. 1 minute and 23 on the clock. Lap times in the 54s now. That gap now 7.2 seconds. Archie Hobson has got past Powell on that last lap, but here comes Brunton trying to challenge here. Will go down the inside into turn number 5. Very tight between them. Well defended there by Teal, just to hold the outside, gave Brunton space, and they both keep going.
I thought that was going to end worse than it did in reality, to be honest, in the end there. That was right on the limit of adhesion there for Fraser on the brakes. And I get it. If he gains another place, Andrew, he negates his penalty all that much more, but you also don't want to gain another one throwing it down the inside here. So got to play it carefully as they're coming round to begin the final tour of the circuit.
They are indeed. There won't be enough time to get in 2 more. There is the last lap board. Cone penalties for Greg Smith and Peter Sharp, if we've not mentioned those already. But can Fraser Brunton find a way through past Daz Teal to take the win on the road into turn 3? You see Teal there. He's so wise, so experienced, just holds that inside line. No opportunity for Brunton to go down the inside, but Brunton's going to go down the inside here into turn number 5 and has got through past Daz Teal. Now remember, has a penalty, so either way, Daz Teal is going to take the full complement of points in this race.
But he doesn't necessarily know. In fact, he almost certainly doesn't know that unless he's memorised Fraser's cart number and looked at the digiflag religiously each lap.
So here, round the final couple of corners, very different sector of the circuit this to the first half. Much more high speed. Fraser Brunton will take some confidence from this, because at least on the road he is the fastest driver in this heat, but has a penalty. So Daz Teal takes another victory in this strong second half of a Club 100 season. Rob Langthorpe is going to be third home. There he is. Ned Douglas, a great run from Ned there, first of the C2s. Greg Smith ahead of Archie Hobson, Chris Powell. Keith Segal should come home in 8th place. In fact, no, Jack O'Neill is going to finish in 8th place there. I think was having a transponder issue. That's why he wasn't showing particularly high. But Keith Segal, Chris Lewis-Evans, Sam Morris, Andrew Bushell, Ross O'Brien, Peter Sharp, Robin Kassam and Rizwan Mangat. That is your order. We're going to take a very short break. Heat 7 is out next. We'll roll straight into the forming up lap. Owen Jenman and Michael Preston on the front row. Dan Seeger and Steve Brown on row 2. Alistair Irvin and Oscar Lancaster row 3. Dan Healy, Stephen Westwood row 4. Joshua Sangster and Josh Adams, your top 10. Green line, away we go then. There is Owen Jenman on the left-hand side of your screen. Sweeps across, takes the lead. Owen Preston forms in behind him into second place. Good start for Dan Seeger as well. Steve Brown held to the outside there. He's got Alistair Irvine for company. But a clean start so far as they go into turns 2, 3 and 4 here in heat number 7.
Absolutely. Starts seem to have cleaned up a little bit. Maybe the conditions, maybe the drivers getting bedded in to the conditions by this point. It is Owen Genman who has quite a comfortable lead as they come out, and Steve Brown is all over the runoff there on the exit of 7, and they're going almost 3 wide into turn number 8 as Irvine is looking up the inside there of Michael Preston, and what that allows is Steve Brown to pull on away ahead of them. So it's going to be Owen Genman ahead of Dan Seeger, and then Steve Brown, your top 3 at the end of lap number 1.
Oh, Preston was very close to track limits there, and we know how strict those have been so far today. Steve Brown down the inside of Dan Seeger, going for second place. Has got second place, has got a track limit warning though, so the quadrant driver needs to be careful here. 5 minutes and 45 to go, but a big gap, and Owen Genman has held such good form here at Bayford Meadows, not just this weekend but this season whenever we've been here. 1.7 seconds the gap. That is a good chunk of time for Super GT to close down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Alistair Irvine still on the back here of Michael Preston. Behind him, Oscar Lancaster under attack here from Dan Healy into turn number 8, and Healy is going to shoulder his way through almost there into turn 8. That was firm but fair as far as I'm concerned. Although I admit it's not my job to make that call. But it is now Healy ahead of Lancaster, and it's Josh Sangster now who applies pressure to the back of the 109 of Oscar Lancaster. Movement in a Class 3 as well, as Irvine goes down the inside of Michael Preston. And a reminder that Irvine is pursuing second place within Class 2, within the lightweights. We were talking about Reese Pope, who's the other key contender in that particular battle, but Alistair Irvine now up to 4th place.
And needs to respond here. He's seen those good results be put in by Reese Pope so far this morning here at Bayford Meadows. So we'll be keen to get further up the order. He's pulling away now as Healy's got past Preston. Oh. It's a circuit this in Bayford Meadows that if you're a driver like a Michael Preston, who'll have done a lot of BUKC, very different in character, I'd feel, to anywhere else we go to on a Club 100 calendar. And BUKC doesn't often, well, hasn't raced here in quite a long time. So for drivers, those younger drivers coming from the BUKC, this could be a real challenge to get on top of this circuit because it is so different.
Yep. Michael Preston, one of our key drivers as well. We should we're going to do a shameless plug at this point, shall we, for the Club 100 and BUKC Legends of iRacing series that we have.
Yep.
There's as Healy goes down the inside of Irvine there into the second hairpin. He'll be compromised onto the back straight, but should be able to hold on to that one, I think, by the time they get to turn number 8. More action coming from that iRacing series in the coming week. Part of the esports action that is supported, engaged with by this Club 100 paddock.
The pace of Owen Genman at the moment, 54.448, is pulling away from those behind. 3.2 seconds is now the gap. Dan Healy, though, has got good pace, 54.364. But the gap between Genman and Healy back in 4th place is 5 seconds. It's simply too big a gap for any of these drivers to do anything about with only 3 minutes left on the clock. Here is the battle for second place. Steve Brown, Dan Seeger.
Yeah, Seeger's impressed me here, keeping in touch, I should say, with Steve Brown, applying the pressure well here. Plenty of time yet for him to pick a moment to make a move. But good pace here from Dan Seeger, one of our Class 2 runners, but really doing well here, driving amongst some of the premier drivers in the lightweight ranks.
Irvine just about keeping hold of Dan Healy's rear bumper at the moment, which is serving him well because he's dropping Preston, Lancaster, Sangster, Westwood behind. consolidating those points, changing C3, I think, Howard. Is that Samuel Essery past Russell Cooper?
Yeah, Sam Essery's worked his way up quite well through the Class 3 ranks there, because I think this was one of his lower starting positions within that Class 3 class. I could be wrong on that, but I think he's had to work his way up the Class 3 order quite a bit there. So Sam Essery with another well-executed heat race so far, with 2 minutes just under that on the clock. Steve Brown now pulling away from Dan Seeger a little bit. But it's 3.5 seconds the gap to be closed to Owen Genman. Such is Genman's pace. Penalty for Michael Preston. ABC takeout. Now, I'm just trying to think who that would have been against. Who have we seen?
Not seen anyone particularly falling down the order.
Oh, hang on.
There we go. Oscar Lancaster's now tumbling down the table.
Yeah.
So that's who it's going to be with.
Yeah, that's another difficult one for Lancaster there. And, yeah, the penalty coming from Michael Preston. He's lost out himself in that one, dropping down to 10th in whatever happened, whatever transpired between the two of them. So it's Owen Genman out by 3.5 seconds. Then it's this group here you can see on your screen. Steve Brown, Dan Seeger, Dan Healy, and Alistair Irvine there with the distinctive pink painted lid. Josh Sangster now in 6th, with ahead of Stephen Westwood, Josh Adams, Steph Theodoro, and Michael Preston rounding out your top 10 on the road. But obviously Preston now with a hefty penalty to be applied post-race as we go on to the final lap.
And Dan Healy's on the charge here, 54.164. Saw Dan Seeger, had a check over the shoulder. Saw the number 2 plate coming. He's going to have to work here to keep Healy behind. Owen Genman, though, has been supreme at the front of this order. Here's the battle between Josh Sangster and Josh Adams. Adams in cart number 9, Sangster cart number 45. This is over 7th place because Stephen Westwood has got through in all of this. Brown continuing to lead from Seeger and Healy. I think Healy will be happy, though, with the points. This is his from-the-back heat. Well, it is a bit of a damage limitation job, similar to what we saw Mr. Hamilton do last night. But Owen Genman, he is one of my favourites today in this lightweight sprints category, and he's going to take race victory. A brilliant run from Owen Genman. Steve Brown scores more good points there in 2nd place. Dan Seeger, top of the C2s in 3rd. Dan Healy, Alistair Irvine is your top 5. Stephen Westwood, Josh Sangster and Josh Adams, 6th, 7th, 8th. Steph Theodoro, Michael Preston in the top 10, but Preston has a penalty. Jed Douglas and Oscar Lancaster are up next, and then all these C3s, Samuel Essery ahead of Russell Cooper, James Dunnett, Jagjit Singh, Simon Sharp, Kim Ely and James Brown. And we're going to take a very short break. Heat 8 is up next. Here we go then for the last of the second rotation. Andrew Ravage and Bryn Albin on the front row. Callum Brule and Aidan Rudge, row 2. Steve Hicks and James Wattis, row 3. Tony Philbin and Rogerio Mendes, row 4. James Martin and Mike Philippou on row 5. Garrett Berry and Dom Cliff, row 6. We're into our novices now. Grachan Kalvinsky, Tim Clark on row 7. George Lawler and Justin Draper, row 8. David Hamer, Tim Crowter, Matthew Cliff wrap out the 19-cart field. Away we go. Andrew Ravage cuts across, takes the lead, and already up the inside there is looking Bryn Albin trying to take the lead. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them. Rogerio Mendes runs out wide out of turn 1, but Ravage has done a good job there, Howard, to hold on to P1.
Yeah, that was a very earnest challenge there from Bryn Albin for the lead of this one into turn number 1. Looks to like Aidan Rudge, though, has been able to capitalise and get himself up into 2nd place there. So, yeah, good job from Ravage on pole to hold off those attacks. Cone penalty already issued for Dom Cliff in the number 11 cart. But it is leading them into turn 8. It is the 61 of Andrew Ravage pursued by Aidan Rudge. Here is the 60 of Garrett Berry versus Steve Hicks and Callum Brule. And James Martin, indeed, there going through 8 and 9.
Oh, there's quite a few drivers with hands up there. I think that was for the question of who wants a piece of Bailey Morgan's birthday cake. But you'll all have to wait, guys, because we need our slices first here in comms. Anyway, end of lap number 1. Andrew Ravage leads. Aidan Rudge up to 2nd place. Big mover on that first lap looks to have been Mike Philippou up 5 spots.
And Aidan Rogers gone for the lead there on Rabbage and has got the job done. So change for the lead in the early part of this lap as Bryn Olban is having to defend against Garrett Berry now over 6th place, and he's able to hold off the attack. What it means, though, is that everyone's checked up behind them. Steve Hicks is now on the scene there in the number 21. He's going to go down the inside of Olban. And actually, Olban was taken by Berry on the run down to that first hairpin as well. So Olban is having to battle tooth and nail for every single inch of this track at the moment. Now with the attentions of James Martin, he's going to try and go back at Steve Hicks into turn 8 as behind them Callum Brule here in the yellow helmet is looking for a move on James Martin, who I don't think is too impressed by the attempt there, because I don't think, in his opinion, it was really on for Brule in that particular instance. The 101 as well of Rogerio Mendez is on the back of Brule as well. And then next up would be the 87 of Tony Philbin leading the next pack of carts. As down the inside of Alban now goes James Martin and takes 7th place.
Does indeed. Another driver with lots of experience in this sprints category. There's Steve Hicks, the black and orange suit, trying to find a way to catch up to the back of Garrett Berry and get through for 5th place. Berry has got a track limit warning though, so we need to keep an eye on that. James Wattis there in 3rd place.
Have we spotted the issue that's happened to our pole sitter, Andrew? Andrew Rabbage down at the back now in 17th place, so not quite sure what happened to him there. Didn't catch it on cameras. Just to be clear, folks, this is one of those circuits where we are completely reliant on the cameras for our scenes of what's outside. We don't have visuals on the track, so not quite sure. Keep your eyes peeled for if there are any ABC takeout penalties on timing. Nothing forthcoming so far.
James Martin's absolutely flying here. Fastest lap of the heat so far, 54.9. He's down the inside of Steve Hicks into turn 2. He's going to get the move done. Great racing from James Martin there.
Brilliant.
Barry's down the inside of Cliff here. Oh, Cliff gives a little bit of a nudge, and Barry will run wide as a result of that. Bryn Alban's still in there as well, in 8th place, the C2 driver.
It feels like the most frenetic race so far, Andrew. And I wonder, is it because we've gone away from there just being a dry line now? There are parts of this circuit where you can really go side by side and still have decent grip. But it feels to me like this is a real, a little bit of a gloves-off race, this one. Quite robust moves being attempted.
Into the final corner this group goes. What is the lead gap? What's happened to Mike Philippou on that last lap as well? So has slipped down to 3rd place as we watch the battle for 4th. So James Wattis is now up to 2nd place. Philippou in 3rd. James Martin is really on it in this one. Into turn 3 and 4 you go. We talk about these corners. There's a cone penalty now for Mike Philippou. So I wonder, has he had a bit of a significant
he's
bonk with a cone? That's what slowed him down.
Yeah.
And now he's got a penalty for his troubles as well. Just to go back to 2, 3 and 4, we talk about it in terms of, you've got to think of it as one continuous corner. In a way, because it's all about the exit out of turn 4, isn't it? And if you don't get the entry into 2 right, you won't get the entry into 3 right, and you won't get the exit out of 4 the way that you want to get that straight line run down to turn 5. There is it. I think it's the last corner, you know. I think it's the last corner that Mike Philippou has had a bit of a rub with those tyres, and it's easy to do. I'll say that. But Berry down the inside of Martin. Holds on to 5th place. Penalty as well for Tony Philbin, a bump and pass. That'll be +4 at the end of this race.
To be clear, there are track limit warnings coming out of coming right, left and centre in this one. As Don Cliff picks up another one, Callum Brule's had one, Bryn Olban, in fact Callum Brule's had 2. They've got to be careful out there, Andrew. If I'm honest, I'm somewhat surprised by the amount of patience being shown by race control thus far.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be patience that's tested, and there will be penalties coming soon if certain drivers aren't careful. 2nd and 3rd place fight here between Wattis and Philippou. Philippou is back on the pace, and Wade and Rudge, what a run this is. 8 for 54.433 last time around, 3.5 seconds in the lead. It's a tremendous run. As down the inside goes Philippou, takes 2nd place away from Wattis. That'll be reversed once the penalty is applied, but at least it means that Philippou won't be falling further down the order and behind the likes of Dom Cliff and Garrett Berry. Once this race is over, we're well, less than a minute to go of it, so there'll be this lap plus one more.
Would definitely be Aidan Rudge's first heat win of this season if he could take it. Was that James Martin going down the inside of Don Cliff? It was.
I think it was.
As Bryn Olben and Garrett Berry are side by side still.
So this has been a good lap for Martin so far because he's got past Berry already there. This Steve Hicks down the inside of Bryn Olben also. On to the last lap then. Aidan Rudge calmly out front by 4 seconds. More requests for birthday cake. Yeah,
that was Garrett Berry tagging the tyres on the exit of the chicane, and I think he felt that Callum Brule had rather pushed him towards that. As Philippou is past Wattis again. I think no matter what, I've been impressed by this drive from Wattis, Andrew, but there is still this battle for second going on here on this last lap. And I tell you what, James Martin would wish there were a couple more laps of this one, wouldn't he? Really working his way up through the order in these latter stages.
Well, what a drive this has been from Aidan Rudge. Got out front early on. This is always a good way to win a race. When the others are fighting behind you, you keep things nice and calm out front to take race victory. Aidan Rudge is going to be, for the first time this season, a race winner in Club 100. Mike Philippou is second on the line but has a penalty. James Wattis will inherit that spot. James Martin fourth, Dom Cliff fifth. Hicks, Albon, Brule, Berry, Mendes is your top 10. Tony Philbin is going to be 11th but has penalties. In fact, no, Justin Draper is going to be 11th on top of the C3s. Philbin, Lawler, Clark, Hamer, Rabbage, Cliff, Kalvinsky. That's going to be your running order for the 18 finishers in that race. We're going to take a short break here on the comms because the third rotation is about to start. Heat 9 is up next.
Here's your grid then for heat number 9 in our lightweights. Ned Douglas will take this from pole with Rowner Percox alongside. It'll be Chris Lewis-Evans and Reece Pope on row number 2. Michael Preston and Daz Till make up row 3. Rob Langthorpe and Bailey Morgan are row 4 with Alistair Irvine and Ramana Sakauskas rounding out your top 10. It'll be Peter Sharp and Ross O'Brien next with Aaron Stillwell and Russell Cooper on row 7. Row 8 has Sam Essery and Kim Ely, and then Gareth Pritchard will round out your 17-kart grid.
Indeed, you're watching live coverage of round 11 of the Club 100 Sprint Championships here from Bayford Meadows on your Alpha Live stream. If you're enjoying the content, do make sure you've subscribed to the Alpha Live YouTube channel. We're under starters orders here for heat number 9. Away they go. And Ned Douglas, who's had a great day so far, will take us from pole position. Rihanna Percox trying to fight it round the outside. Does make it round turn 1 this time, but is forced out wide. That is sometimes the risk of starting P2 here at Bayford Meadows.
Chris Lewis-Evans to the front though, Andrew. Yep. Elbowed his way through. He and Ned Douglas have a bit of a start, and that was definitely Reece Pope saying, I want the best piece of birthday cake from Bailey Morgan, I think.
It's up to third place. Rob Langthorpe holds to the inside. Contact warning for Darren Teal, who started this race in 6th place in kart number 6. Contact warning also for Ramana Sakauskas in the 13.
First heat of the day, Andrew, where we've had Irvine and Pope in the same race at the same time. So those two drivers who are going for that 2nd place in the Class 2 Championship, or Class 2 standings within the Championship perhaps is more accurate, they are both on track at the same time here. Coming round then to finish lap number 1, Chris Lewis-Evans in the lead, ahead of Ned Douglas, who right now has got Reece Pope all over the back of him. He's going to have to go defensive into turn number 2. Is that going to give an opportunity to Bailey Morgan as well in the number 14, who's going to try and take the conventional racing line and get better drive off of the corner? They stay as they were, but now even more nose to tail than before. Rob Langthorpe challenging Rihanna Percox as well behind into the first hairpin, with Daz Till and Alistair Irvine looking to take advantage. Reece Pope goes down the inside of Ned Douglas, and now it's side by side between Langthorpe and Percox as they both come onto this back straight. And Daz Till is going to get great drive and go past both of them, as Alistair Irvine is also looking to go down the inside of them. But meanwhile, ahead of them, Bailey Morgan fires down the inside of Ned Douglas at turn number 8. So it's now Reece Pope, Bailey Morgan, Ned Douglas, and then it's Daz Till ahead of... And Irvine has been able to get by, so 2 places gained for Irvine as well on Percox and Langthorpe. A lot of changes of that lap as they come around to finish lap number 2.
Yeah, this is a big race for C2, not just in the context of today, but the championship. It's a great opportunity for both Pope and Irvin and the likes of Morgan and Douglas all to get good points. And let's not forget about our leader as well, as down the inside, Daz Teal on Ned Douglas takes 4th place.
Lovely move.
Chris Lewis Evans is, what's his pace like at the moment? 56.0 last time around. A couple of tenths slower than Reece Pope, but the good thing is he's got a 1.2 second lead. This is a good spot for Chris Lewis Evans, but Reece Pope's been in such good form today, and he is closing in. Contact warning for the number 36, and what's going on behind?
Yeah, Langthorpe was all out of shape out wide, I think at hairpin number 2, and it's carried on to the back straight, and it's allowed everyone to just bunch up on he and Rihanna Percox. I think Michael Preston getting involved. And is that Sam Essery?
Yeah.
Who's jumped a few of them as well. So Sam Essery, I think, now might be up to 7th place.
Sam Essery, currently he was the fastest driver out on circuit. He's just been displaced by Bailey Morgan in 3rd with a 54.660.
Yeah, absolutely. And more good battles going on in Class 3, but Sam Essery at the moment, the only one to break out and challenge the drivers higher up. Here's your race leader, that's Chris Lewis Evans, and now coming under intense pressure from Reece Pope, who is going to be in no mood to hang around in trying to maximise his points in this one. Bailey Morgan is staying with them as well. And then it's Daz Teal, Ned Douglas and Alistair Irvin in 4th through 6th there. But Lewis Evans coming under sustained pressure now from the 42 of Reece Pope. As I say, he'll know that Irvin's in this race, and he needs to capitalise on where he can get this kart. 3.25 minutes to go. On to lap number 5. Daz Teal currently the fastest driver on the circuit, although it's worth bearing in mind, in these kind of conditions, everyone is setting personal bests pretty much at this point as they all get to grips with these conditions. We've seen it for the last few heats. They all spend the first few laps going, oh yeah, it is dry. Let's go for it. And going for it now is Reece Pope down the inside of hairpin number 1. He's going to be out wide on the exit, but he'll have the inside for the next hairpin, so one presumes he's going to be able to hold onto it. Here they come into shot. Yes, indeed he has. Reece Pope to the head of the field, and Chris Lewis Evans now immediately has the close attentions of Bailey Morgan behind him.
You feel if you're Alistair Irvin in this situation, sat in 6th place at the moment, you've got to find a way past Ned Douglas, because Reece Pope, on the form that he's been on so far today, is just going to pull away from the drivers behind now. Even drivers of the calibre of the likes of Chris Lewis Evans, Bailey Morgan and Daz Teal. Daz is looking fast though, and that's another new fastest lap of the race so far. 54.380, took 5.5 tenths out of Bailey Morgan on that last lap. Is Morgan shaping up for a move into the little hairpin there of 3 and then 4? No, he just holds fire for the moment. But all the while, Daz Teal gets closer and closer and closer. Samuel Essery's pace is still good as well. He's in the 54s. And there's a contact warning for Alistair Irvin as he tries to find his way past Ned Douglas. Samuel Essery is in the mix here. Yes, he's right on the rear bumper now of Alistair Irvin and could start taking points away.
Yeah, Irvin was eyeing up a move on Ned Douglas. There's Daz Teal is robustly getting by Chris Lewis Evans there. And Bailey Morgan swoops down the inside of Teal. That's a brilliant move there for Bailey Morgan there. That is a bold move there into the penultimate corner. That'll have put a smile on the birthday boy's face. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, really good stuff from Bailey, who is a driver that, again, has had a great season. It's improving all the time. But I think next year is going to be a big year for Bailey Morgan. He's going to be doing more racing. He's going to be competing in the Endurance Championship. And it's always one of those things that the best ways to improve in Club 100 is track time.
Yeah,
get as much track time as you can.
Irvin did get by on Ned Douglas last lap. Also, Russell Cooper by on Peter Sharp for 11th place. That's in amongst Class 3 drivers slightly further down the field. But yeah, Alistair Irvin, can he get onto the back of Chris Lewis Evans? He has pulled away from Ned Douglas. In fact, Douglas coming under pressure from Sam Essery on this lap. There they are firing through shot now as sunshine breaks through the clouds and starts to beat down on the circuit here in Sittingbourne in Kent as we go on to the last lap of heat number 9.
We do indeed. So Reece Pope's lead is 1.3. Bailey Morgan there in the blue suit, 2nd place. Daz Teal will, I think, be happy with the points that he's got at the moment in 3rd. If the opportunity is there, he will take it to go up the inside or around the outside, whichever way he wants to overtake. He won't take too many risks to do so. Rihanna Percox has recovered to 8th place in this race. It's been a tough day for Percox. I think there's going to be a number of Class 1 drivers not making the A final here.
Yep.
It's been a bit of a topsy-turvy morning in the lightweights so far through these heats. And we've got the much-talked-about Heat 10 coming up next. But here's Rhys Pope, who's having one of the best days we've seen him ever have in a Club 100 kart, and it's going to take race victory in Heat number 9. Bailey Morgan happy with P2 there. Daz Teal third, Chris Lewis Evans fourth, fifth for Alistair Irvin. Douglas, Essery, Percox, Langthorpe, Preston is your top 10. Russell Cooper, Peter Sharp, Romanas Sakauskas, Aaron Still and Gareth Pritchard take us down to 15th. Kim Ely and Ross O'Brien complete the field. We could take a very short break. Heat 10 is up next. Here we go then for the most stacked grid of the day. Jed Toole and Garrett Berry have pole position. Mike Coppin and Mike Philippou are on row 2. Steve Brown and Anwar Barul Smith on row 3. It keeps going, ladies and gentlemen, because you've got Owen Jenman and Ed Bars on row 4. Keith Segal and Greg Smith on row 5. Oscar Lancaster and Dan Healy on row 6. Into our novices, who've got the best seats in the house. James Browning and Andy Berry, row 7. Andrew Bushell and Toby Smith, row 8. David Hamer and Dean Everest, row 9. 18 karts in the field. Away we go then. This has been a much talked about grid in the lead up to today's event. And down the inside already, Steve Brown look at all of that, running wide the front row. And poor Jed Toole and Garrett Berry are going to fall down the order here. Mike Coppin takes the lead as they go into turn 3 for the first time. Steve Brown has held on there and is still in second place. But look at them all charging in. A very, very high quality field in this one, and they all want to win it, Howard.
Yeah, absolutely. And bear in mind, you know, if they're all, and there's spinners around as well. David Hamer's facing the wrong way, and there's another, was it Keith Segal? Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's worth bearing in mind, Andrew, if they're all in the same heat, they're all slightly compromised in that way of making up the points they need to get into the A final, which is what they want, as that's Dan Healy challenging Oscar Lancaster further down the order as they all work the way. And he still can't get by Oscar Lancaster, actually. I think he's going to get through there. No, Lancaster's hanging on. Good, fair play to Oscar there. Really hanging on to that position well against an experienced driver in the form of Healy. It is Mike Coppin who leads, though, at the end of lap 1, ahead of Steve Brown. Mike Philippou in in third, and Owen Jenman. Steve Brown, though, right on the tail of Mike Coppin. Bit of a rerun, Andrew, of both of their first heats of the day, as down the inside goes Jenman on Philippou. So that is Owen Jenman up into third place, and Garrett Berry now challenging Philippou, though he's going to have to go the long way round at hairpin 1, and it's going to compromise him, as we've seen many a time at hairpin 1 already today, and it's allowed Anwar Barul Smith and Ed Bars to get by, but just as quickly as I can say it, Garrett Berry is trying to challenge back again, but he's going to be compromised down the back straight, and there is the challenge for the lead. Steve Brown and Mike Coppin, but Mike Coppin shuts the door robustly there.
There were only 2 drivers who didn't change positions from where they started on the grid on that first lap. They were Philippou and Barul Smith. That's how crazy that first lap was. Let's count them through at the end of lap number 2. It's Coppin from Brown, Jenman, Philippou, Barul Smith, Berry, Bars, Lancaster, Healy and Smith. That is your top 10.
Jed Toole working his way back up the order, up to 12th now. Has just cleared Andrew Bushell and Greg Smith. So he's working his way up on his recovery drive. Mike Coppin go defence, and look at this. It's Jenman to the inside of Steve Brown there. Brown will have the inside line of the next hairpin if he can just hang on. Yes, he can. But they're both going to be slowing each other down and allowing Coppin to have a bit of breathing space. Again, Jenman goes for it on Steve Brown. Going to push Brown out wide as far as the grass.
Have wet tyres.
He'll have wet tyres going into 8. He's going to be compromised on the grip, but he's able to hold it together. But that'll have been like blood in the water to a shark for Mike Philippou in 4th place, who will have seen that all of that happening ahead of him. Still yellow flags out for this latter part of the lap, Andrew. Someone's been tagging the tyres on either this corner or this last chicane, I think. It's still Mike Coppin at in the lead at the end of lap number 3.
It is indeed. I get the feeling, though, that Mike Coppin's going to try a bit of a Gandalf job here.
Yep.
And hold this one out from, well, he's already been holding it out from 5 minutes to go. 4 minutes still on the clock. But Owen Jenman, he is so good round here. Yeah. He really is. He's a very, very good driver wherever we go, but particularly here at Bayford Meadows.
Ed Barr's putting a lot of pressure on Mike Philippou for 4th
Oh,
at the moment.
Just as I say that, though, Owen Jenman's got a bump and pass penalty, so he cannot win this race now. He can take the lead on the road, but once the 4 places are applied post-race, the best he can hope for is 5th.
Is that for how he got by on Steve, to be fair? Steve was pushed out to the
quite
grass.
Possibly, yes.
But yeah, still very much a presence in this, though, even with that penalty to be applied. Mike Coppin still in the lead of this one as they come around to finish another lap. Steve Brown then will benefit from Gemman. And Gemman, oh, what a dummy to be sold into turn one. That was beautifully done by Gemman. Coppin's out on the banking. He keeps his foot in it, and Steve Brown's going to look down the inside. But the door is shut by Mike Coppin. Still allows Brown to have a go at Genman, though, and he's up into second place. What an exchange across those corners. I think Ed, and now it's going to be Genman trying round the outside. Ed Bars has got past Philippou for fourth as well in the midst of all that. Dan Healy, Anwar Brule-Smith is arriving on the scene in all of this as well.
Silverstone 1986, anybody?
Yes,
My goodness, that was a really good go from Owen Genman. Didn't quite pull it off. Mike Coppin still leads this race. Steve Brown back up to second place. And again, I know I keep using the E word a lot today, experience, but you know, Steve Brown saw the gap, went for it, knew there was a risk making it 3 wide on the run to turn 2, but held the inside and got that position. Just jerks to the inside a little bit. Makes Owen Genman think twice about trying to throw one down the inside. Ed Bars is there as well. It's been relatively quiet so far in this race. He's already up to P4. It's strange because it is a heat, but this almost feels a bit like an A final at the moment with how many key drivers we've got in it and how ferocious the racing is out there. Steve Brown's having a little look down the inside again, but Mike Coppin, his kart placement so far in this race, Howard, has been supreme. Simply no opportunities for anybody to get through.
I want to give a shout out to Garrett Berry, really holding his own here as a Class 2 runner in amongst of all of this. He's just got by an Anwar Brule-Smith on the previous lap, so really doing well at the moment is Garrett Berry in that number 60 kart, keeping Brule-Smith and Healy at bay. That is not too many people who can say that. As they're coming round again, we're going to have, I reckon, 2 more laps of this one.
Yep.
Mike Coppin still in the lead. Steve Brown stays to driver's right, and he's going to find the gap somehow on the inside and fires it down the inside there. Again, Coppin is out on the banking. Again, it goes 3 wide towards turn number 2, but this time it remains 3 wide. And Genman goes through on both of them. Ed Bars coming as well through, trying to get second place. But Steve Brown is going to have the inside line for the next hairpin as Garrett Berry is now challenging Mike Coppin.
Yeah. Barry's round. Barry is round. Now, if he was encouraged into that, there may be a takeout penalty coming. Oh, I can see Mr. Underhill getting on the radio.
That's Brule-Smith
has touched the tyres. My goodness me, what a save that was.
I think that might have been a violation of track limits. It's just a hunch. Just a hunch. Owen Genman now in the lead. Steve Brown still somehow in the wheel tracks of the leader. After all of that, he's remained in second place on this one. But coming round to start the last lap, it's going to be a completely new order here. Genman, Brown and Bars, the top 3.
Genman has a penalty, though. So at the moment, for the second time today, Steve Brown is sitting on the race victory. He doesn't want to do it with the penalties, though. He's throwing it down the inside to take the lead. Can he hold on to it? Bars is trying to go around the outside there. That's a dangerous spot to be in, Ed. And still, Genman has the lead on the road. Bars is going to cut round the outside. Brown to the inside. This is brilliant racing here at Bayford Meadows. Still, Genman has the lead, but crucially, Brown is in that second spot. Mike Coppin's coming back into it now as well. Feels he hit him there, so he's going to let Ed Bars back through. And after all of that, it's still, the near double back again from Super GT. He clearly doesn't know that Owen Genman has a penalty here and that he's sitting on a race victory, but it's entertaining nonetheless. Who's going to make it round the final couple of corners still in one piece? Owen Genman's going to take it on the road, but has a +4 penalty for the second time today. Super GT, Steve Brown is going to take race victory. Ed Bars in P3, Mike Coppin P4, Mike Philippou's your top 5. Dan Healy, Anwar Brule-Smith, Garrett Berry, Oscar Lancaster, Toby Smith, who's your top C3, that is your top 10. Andy Berry, Jed Toole, Andrew Bushell, Dean Everest, Greg Smith, top 15. James Browning, Keith Segal, and David Hamer's your top 18 to finishers here in this race. What have we just seen? What a crazy finish. As expected in heat number 10, we're going to take a short break. Heat 11's next. Oh my goodness, here's your Heat 11 grid, ladies and gentlemen. Dom Cliff and Matthew Cockram on the front row. James Martin and Josh Adams, row 2. Aidan Rudge and Christopher Powell on row 3. Andrew Rabbage and Callum Brule will be on row 4. Stephen Westwood and Cameron Williams, row 5. James Wattis and Tony Philbin, row 6. Into the novices, and away we go actually for Heat number 11.
Yeah, absolutely. Domcliffe leads them away into turn number 1. James Martin looking to make early progress here. That looked like, where was that? Stephen Westwood, I think, going out onto the curbing on the exit of turn 1, but it all remains clean enough as they come out onto the second stretch. And that looks to me like Aidan Rudge has again had a lightning start here and got to the head of the field, Andrew. That is another good start for Rudge there with the 61 of Andrew Rabbage in second place.
Yeah, he's having a really good day so far, is Aidan Rudge. Oh, I'm just
Get your breath back.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
For the lead of the race, you're not allowed to. Andrew
Rabbage
Rabbage goes down the inside of Aidan Rudge, and I think has been able to make that stick for the lead of the race as they all work their way now through the faster part of the lap. Indeed, it is the 61 of Andrew Rabbage that has got himself to the head of the field as they head towards the chicane. Here at the end of lap number 1, it is going to be Andrew Rabbage ahead of Aidan Rudge, and then Domcliffe has got up into third place. As that's the best start that Dom has had so far today. He's picked up penalties. I think he was spun around in the first heat, I want to say, if memory serves correctly. So good start for him there. Under pressure though from Josh Adams there in the number 9 with the blue and white suit, and he's going to go down the inside of hairpin number 1. Meanwhile, Stephen Westwood battling away with James Wattis there. That is in the battle over 6th place, as Domcliffe is back down the inside of Josh Adams there at hairpin number 2. But Adams is going to seize the advantage of having the inside line of the next corner. James Martin there in the 64 as well, as James Wattis and Stephen Westwood still battle. Wattis down the inside now of turn number 8. Callum Brule there in the yellow helmet looking to capitalise but can't find a way through there. And Christopher Powell rounds out this little pack of karts, taking you down to 9th place.
If anyone's eardrums that are hurting now, I do apologise for
I tell you what,
the end of heat 10 there. That was manic.
In all the excitement, I hadn't clocked that JV was stood behind.
Oh, yes, we had a visitor.
I'm very glad neither of us flung her.
Clobbered him in the face.
James Martin tries down the inside of Domcliffe now. This is over 4th place, heading towards second, third, and fourth. Turns 2, 3, and 4 as Rabbage comes under pressure, and renewed pressure now from Aidan Rudge, and that comes because Rudge has just set the fastest lap of the race as Domcliffe is trying to shut the door on Martin, but Martin has already prized that open, and Wattis is now going to fancy his chances down at hairpin number 2 on James Martin. Reads the situation well indeed and gets through in that one. James Wattis, though, is going to go down the inside of Domcliffe again. Domcliffe, I almost thought was going to be able to cut back under and get a switch back halfway round turn 8, but it is Wattis now up into 4th place. What a lovely exchange between these drivers, albeit James Martin might be feeling a bit punch drunk after all of that.
I may be wrong here, and it may just be racing drivers racing hard, but I get the feeling that there's a number of drivers who know, with the way how topsy-turvy it's been so far today,
Yep.
This is the last race for all of these guys, and they're all thinking, if I can get a top 5 here, I could get an A final. That's what's lit it up today.
Yep.
Because there's some big opportunities for drivers to finish with the biggest point hauls that they've had all season.
Yep, Domcliffe there was having to go all over the curbing at turn 1. Going to have to be careful about that as Westwood again has to go defence against Callum Brule, and Christopher Powell is looking to get. Oh, and Wattis has been slowed up, and look how far out wide Domcliffe is going. That's going to allow James Martin to try and go around the outside of all of them, and Domcliffe is round. Oh, dearie me, that was all bad and skewering off there to driver's left. Was that Jagjit Singh?
Yeah, I think it might have been. We'll count it through in a moment.
Very unusual.
4 minutes to go. I just wondered, did he get some water on his tyres? Was there any?
I don't know. I mean, he would have been
contact to the tyres of Cliff.
Yeah,
Cliff into the tyres. Cliff into the tyres. Water out the tyres. Onto Singh's tyres, and around he goes.
Yep.
I think that's what happened there.
Definitely plausible. It wasn't Jagjit Singh. It was Tony Philbin. Apologies there. So Philbin's race compromised. Callum Brule as well lost out heavily out of it. It was actually to the benefit of Jagjit Singh. Now up into 8th place in the number 66 cart. Here is your race leader, Rabbage and Rudge.
Here's a good example of a C3 driver moving up into C2.
Yes.
Rabbage, who started last year. And again, this has been... It's quite interesting, this. You've got Rabbage and Rudge both having days better than I've ever seen him have before on a streamed Club 100 round. Josh Adams, who we've been talking about a lot this season, this has been a big breakthrough year for Josh Adams. He's stepped up again from 2021. It's good to see 3 younger drivers coming through the ranks here in Club 100, fighting at the front and getting good results.
Josh Adams with a good opportunity here, Andrew. He's the highest placed Class 1 runner at the moment. James Martin, some 4.4. James Martin has got there. He's managed to work his way up the order, but it's taken so long that it's allowed these top 3 to break away. And here is Josh Adams having the look at Rudge into hairpin 1, but Rudge isn't being intimidated easily here. Holds on to it.
Also talking drivers coming through the ranks. 2022, a big year for Club 100. The start of the all-new Club 100 Cadets Championship, which you can go over to the website www.club100.co.uk and find more about. That championship designed for younger drivers, same cadet ages as Motorsport UK, and then the juniors as well. As here goes Josh Adams down the inside of Aidan Rudge, takes second place. Very nice move indeed. Communicates to Aidan Rudge that they need to work together now to catch and overtake Andrew Rabbage. Plenty to look forward to for drivers of all ages next year in Club 100. You check out the website, entries will be opening towards the end of this month, I believe.
Well, by my reckoning, if Rabbage can hang on to this, Andrew, it will be his first win in a heat. Would not be the case were Josh Adams to take the win. He has had wins before. What a showing this is, as you say. There are some drivers today, Andrew, who I think are really on for their best results and will be relishing the momentum that they can potentially carry into 2022 on this one.
And the element of it being a last round and probably, pressure being a little bit off. You're not necessarily thinking about championship scores as much as Josh Adams is now down the inside of Andrew Rabbage. Got a good run through and out of turn 1. Takes the lead on the exit of turn number 2. Now, can he hold on to it? He'll have to go defensive into the first of these technical hairpins. I wouldn't describe them as tight as slow, but you've got to string them together and keep the momentum up, especially here onto the back straight. Side of John Patterson there, busy at work on the camera. This is the last lap for everybody out there in heat number 11. And Josh Adams has had a very solid morning once again. We should be seeing him through and in the A final later on. But a very good run nonetheless from kart number 9. Josh Adams is going to take heat number 11 by 3.5 tenths ahead of Andrew Rabbage. Aidan Rudge in third, James Martin and James Wattis wrap out the top 5. Stephen Westwood, a good result again in 6th. Matthew Cochran 7th. Christopher Powell 8th. Callum Brule in 9th. Jagjit Singh takes the win in C3 and is in the top 10. Robin Kassam, Sam Morris, Alex Brandon, Simon Sharp, Tony Philbin is your top 15. Dom Cliff had a tough one out there in 16th. Grachan Kalvinsky completes the field in 17th. And all of a sudden, we're on to our last of the heats. Heat number 12 are out next.
Let's take a look at your grid then for this last lightweight heat of the day. Steph Theodora and Jack O'Neill are row number 1 with Josh Sangster and Fraser Brunton coming up next. Thomas Barrett and Bryn Alban are row number 3. Dan Seeger and Rogerio Mendes are next, and then it's Steve Hicks and Archie Hobson to round out the top 10 of the grid. Dante Dillon and Amy Breacher are row 6. Row 7 is going to be Matthew Cliff and Tim Clark. George Lawler and Rizwan Mangad are next, with Justin Draper and James Dunnett rounding out your 18 kart field. And we are ready for the off here. Steph Theodora will lead them away. The cone just goes into space there. That is the new cone-based space program being launched here at Bayford Meadows today. Jack O'Neill is looking to try and get a move on Steph Theodora, but can't get the job done, as it's all fairly clean and respectful through turns 2 through 4. Dan Seeger having to go defensive, though. You can see the 93 of Thomas Barrett was trying to make progress there and round towards the back. Is that that might be the 150 of Rizwan Mangat? Just got to double check that one, as Jack O'Neill now looks for the move on Steph Theodoro into turn number 8, and he's going to get the job done. O'Neill is going to get through up into the lead. And Andrew, you were talking earlier about how we'd had a conversation with O'Neill and perhaps not mentioned that he was in the Heat 10, manic grid that we could see from it. But that means he's got the opportunity now, just capitalise and take a relatively easy set of points.
He needs it, though, because the first 2 heats that he's been competed in this morning, he's not had good results. Yellow flag is out, perhaps. Yep, Fraser Brunton just has to back off there. He did have a run on Steph Theodoro. It is for tyre replacement off the start there.
Rizwan Mangat was your spinner at hairpin 2.
We've had a message on comms box, Cam. Apologies, we've not got the YouTube comments today, but do keep your comments coming in on the Alpha live stream. Make sure you've subscribed as well, as Fraser Brunson goes down the inside of Steph Theodorou. Nice move there from Fraser. He'll get it done on the exit, takes second place. Michael Preston can confirm his incident in race 7 was definitely a 4X. That's an iRacing term, meaning he may have made a little bit of contact there.
Yes.
But yes, 5.5 minutes to go. Jack O'Neill out front by 1.7 seconds, rounded up to the nearest 10th, ahead of Fraser Brunton. Steph Theodorou there in 3rd. He's being challenged by Josh Sangster, who's had a good day so far.
Amy Breacher past Bryn Alban for 12th place, and Dante Dillon past Thomas Barrett as well. So moves going on throughout the field as Seeger goes to the inside of Sangster there in the battle over 4th place, but it's still going to be with Sangster for the next apex because he'll have the inside line. So it's all going to be about whether Dan Seeger can optimise his run onto this back straight. And I don't think he's close enough to be making a move there. The next pack of carts behind them being led by Dante Dillon now, which Steve Hicks is trying to get to the front of Andrew, but he's not moving as forward as quickly as I perhaps would have expected at this stage.
It's been a very quiet day for Hicksy so far. Not really seen him up in the top 5.
Well, that wasn't the best run onto the start-finish straight, I don't think, for Sangster there. Seeger's going to be looking for turn 1, and he is indeed down the inside. Nicely judged by Seeger, so long as he can keep it within track limits, he can. But Sangster's going to get the switch back on him and try down the inside of 2 again. Indeed he is, so it stays as they were. Nice little exchange between these two, between the 45 and the 28.
TLW for Tim Clark. For reference of why on the timing is he Tim Clark 2 is because we've got multiple Tim Clarks.
Seeger tries down the inside of hairpin 2 now, but he's also going to be compromised once again coming onto the back straight, but Sangster's going to be at the disadvantage. He's going to keep his foot in it over the runoff curb. I think he'd argue force majeure on that one, but it doesn't matter either way because that is Dan Seeger up into 4th place.
Yeah, good stuff there from Dan Seeger.
Amy Breacher ahead of George Lawler now up to 11th place, so heads up the Class 3 running orders. Steve Hicks has also got past Thomas Barrett, so he's nearly at the front of that pack of carts. In fact, he and Dante Dillon are working up onto the back. Here they are. Steve Hicks chasing Dante Dillon for 6th place, but one gets the impression, Andrew, that they're actually working together for now to try and get onto the back of some greater treasures up the road.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a good amount of time in this heat remaining. You can do that, you can work up, and it is one of the things with Bayford Meadows. You can race round here, but you do lose a lot of time when you battle with another driver. So, you know, a 2-second gap can disappear very, very quickly if you are, you know, a chasing driver or a chasing duo. In the case of Dillon and Hicks, they just need to keep going with this, and it'll serve them well. Jack O'Neill, though, 54.157. That is astonishing pace from the reigning champion. You know what? It's even more astonishing now. 53.996. That may well be one of the quickest laps we've seen so far this weekend.
That's ridiculous pace out front. 2.4 seconds the gap, though. Fraser Brunton with a strong showing here, mate. Let's not take away from his pace either. He is keeping in touch with O'Neill more than many would, but one does get the feeling that O'Neill is now controlling this one towards the end, as Joshua Sangster now very much under pressure from Dante Dillon and Steve Hicks. This is the battle for 5th down through 7th. As I thought that was a look from Dillon there into the hairpin. Hicks is going to be strong onto this back straight, I think, because of the line that he took through the 2 pre-sequent corners, but he hasn't got a move opening up for him there into turn number 8. Hold station for now. It's a hard track to overtake on this one. You know, that technical nature of it means that you were sort of alluding to a moment ago, Andrew. If you come off the racing line, you can lose a whole heap of time. And the gaps can open and close quite quickly. Steph Theodorou having a little bit of a quiet one at this point now. 3 seconds the gap before it is. Dante Dillon down the inside of Josh Sangster. Nicely judged move there. That is the prime overtaking spot. Hicks now trying to look for an opportunity into 2, and Sangster opens the door. I don't think he realised quite how close Hicksy was there, and that means that Dillon and Hicks are now through on Sangster. So all change for 4th, 5th and 6th.
Yeah, well raced between all 3 drivers there. Some good overtaking. Sangster recognising doesn't want to be too aggressive. Still good points that he's sat on here.
Or even 5th, 6th and 7th, Howard. Yeah, Dan Seeger there still in 4th place ahead of them. Track limit warning for Steph Theodorou. Justin Draper gets by on Amy Breacher. Takes himself up into the top 10 down in Class 3. But our leader is now on the last lap. Jack O'Neill, with a 54 dead, takes it on to the last lap. It's rather quiet amongst the top three. It's a 3-second gap for the lead, then a further 4 seconds back to Steph Theodorou. Danziger is closing in on Theodorou, but he's going to need a mega last lap to take that fight to him for position. It's now Dylan versus Hicks, your closest battle. What we're looking at now, your closest battle in that top 10. Dylan just going a little bit defensive into the first of their hairpins, but is that going to allow Hicks to get the switch back through the next 2 hairpins and potentially have a bit of a look into turn 8? And they come onto the back straight. No, Hicks is going to hold station for now. He doesn't seem to be keen on taking that tight line that we've been talking about that can open up the overtaking opportunities. We need to take a look at start-finish, though, because Jack O'Neill is coming round to take the win. There it is. Jack O'Neill takes some much-needed points, we have to say, with taking that win. Fraser Brunton in second place. It's going to be Steph Theodorou, who held off a Danziger, charging at him there for third place. Dante Dillon holds on for fifth place ahead of Steve Hicks. Then it's Josh Sangster, Archie Hobson, Thomas Barrett, and Justin Draper, your highest placed Class 3, rounding out your top 10. Then it's Amy Breacher, Rogerio Mendez, Bryn Olban, then it's George Lawler, James Dunnett, Rizwan Mangat, Tim Clark, and Matthew Cliff will round out your 18 carts, finishing that 12th heat, and that are your heat races for lightweights. Just going to be a couple of minutes here then at Bayford Meadows whilst we work out all of the grids for our finals coming up next here on your Alpha live stream with commentary from Double Dash Motorsport Media. Just going to take a break here on the stream whilst all those grids are worked out here at Bayford Meadows.
Moving into the finals then for lightweights on their 11th round of their 2021 Club 100 Sprint Championship. Here is your grid for the C final. Job in this one is to finish in the top 4 to move on to the B. Keith Segal has pole position for this C final. Robin Kassam joins him on the front row. Jagjit Singh and Russell Cooper on the second row of the grid. Those 4 drivers will be looking to hold on to those positions and proceed forward into the next part of the afternoon. Greg Smith and James Dunnett on the outside looking in at the moment. They're on the 3rd row of the grid. Ramanas Sakauskas and Andrew Bushell are on the 4th row. Aaron Stillwell and Sam Morris could have a good run from the 5th row of the grid. George Lawler and Peter Sharp are there on row number 6. Tony Philbin and Tim Clark start on the 7th row of the grid. Gareth Pritchard and Alex Brandom are on row 8. Ross O'Brien and Kim Ely are on the 9th row of the grid. And then we find Rizwan Mangat and David Hamer on row 10. Matthew Cliff and Simon Sharp on row 11. James Browning and Gachan Kalvinsky are on the 12th row of the grid. And then last but not least, Karen Williams and Tim Crowter complete the 23 kart field.
The thing I want to know about this one, very often when we're looking at a C-final grid, mate, it's, is there a Class 3 podium position or even a win for the round up for grabs? Nope. We've got a lot of Class 3 drivers having a stellar day here today and are already up into the B final. I don't think we've got any who've got into the A outright, but we have got several in the B final. So if you want to stand on that rostrum within Class 3 for this final round of the 2021 Club 100 Sprint season, you're going to need to get through. And in order to do that, you need to finish amongst the top 4 in this race. There are a few in this one, though. I can just see Greg Smith there, Andrew. I'd have thought he'd be trying to get up into the B final in this one. He had the incident at the chicane, didn't he, where he was turned around in his heats, and I think that was quite a costly moment for him in his bid. So he'll be looking to get, well, I mean, everybody's looking to get up into those top 4. That's the key thing. And that's the interesting thing about the C final, why we like it so much. A, it gives us an opportunity to look at maybe some of our drivers who we haven't been able to feature quite so much on the stream thus far this round. And B, you want them in that top 4. It changes the tactics of it. We're not
going to spoil that, what we've just seen.
So we've just been shown a very interesting looking grid for later on today. But it changes the dynamic of this race. It changes the tactics. If you're in 4th place, you are on the bubble, as they like to say in Formula 1 qualifying. But it's not qualifying. It is racing, and you have to think tactically about that and not hold each other up in your bid to stay in that top 4 come the checkered flag.
Absolutely. This is a race that is an actual race ahead of some further races later on today. This is not qualifying. Oh, what a mess they've got themselves into. Anyway.
They could have just qualified for the B final, made it much easier. No, sorry, that's harsh.
But yes, no, C final drivers getting themselves ready. I saw some good keepy-uppies in the background. One of the Club 100 staff members with the fuel cap, which is, I would just like to publicly announce, because there were a couple of people who were asking about it earlier. Yes, I got quite angry at an inanimate object yesterday in the endurance race. I'd like to formally apologise to all Club 100 fuel caps.
Yeah, for anyone who witnessed Andrew in our last pit stop, our last pit stop yesterday, I think it's fair to say my colleague was projecting his frustrations slightly on inanimate objects.
That's frustrations that have been coming from about round 6.
I think if you'd have attempted keepy up as you'd have managed one as you...
It would have got booted out of the county.
Drop kick it outside of the facilities. But, yes, it was an interesting day's racing for us, wasn't it, mate?
Just as we're saying that, I'm sorry, John. I had a strop yesterday. It's all right, but it was at the fuel cap. It was at no individuals. It had not gone well.
If anyone captured that...
Yeah.
If anyone captures that on film, I want a still of Andrew just...
Well, we did.
It's true.
We will have caught it on our GoPro.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
You did it in front of the cart. That's brilliant. There you are. Stay tuned for Double Dash Motorsport Media for an interesting psychological insight into Andrew's mindset.
Endurance 2021. There's Keith Segal.
Yep, starts on pole.
AKA Cup of Tea.
Mm.
what we call him.
Cup of tea.
Cup of tea.
Yeah, we always support him on the radio. Go on, Cups.
You see, we need you, John, here to feed us the. You've got.
Because he's always bringing biscuits.
Oh, is he
true.
another biscuit fan in the
Someone
paddock?
comes on and brings loads of packets of biscuits for the
There
team.
you go.
He's a lovely lad. Been racing with me since '94.
Since racing since '94, so most of the 30 years.
1994,
Wow.
mate. Yeah, yeah.
Right, we've
Call
been
him Cup of tea because he always brings biscuits.
right.
So cup of tea on pole. As I say, you guys are
Thanks,
hearing
John.
one
That
side
was
of the
great.
conversation, but yeah, you'll have seen it on Comspots, Cam. John's just going to say that.
No. If anyone's wondering, we know all of this.
Yes.
John's definitely not just been stood there
no,
feeding
I,
us.
I have heard about that with that Keith always brings the biscuits.
Yeah, I'm not sure
to the sprints rounds.
I mean, I knew Keith was experienced. I'm not sure it was since '94.
yes,
that
since
is
1994.
right. I mean, Club 100 hitting its 3 decades of action in 2021. So yeah, Segal, one of those drivers who's been here for the majority. There are a few drivers like that in the field who have been supporting Club 100 for many a year. Just goes to show the compelling experience that Club 100 is able to bring.
Here we go then for the C final. Keith Segal will take us from pole position in kart number 58. On the charge to turn 1. Are they all going to make it through? It's a good start for Keith Segal rounding turn number 1. But up the inside went Jagjit Singh there. Got the run out of turn 1 and will take the lead. Greg Smith's had a good one as well. Oh, big, massive sideways moment for Keith Segal. Brilliant hold from Cups of Tea there. 11 minutes and 40 seconds to go. This is a longer race, of course. And
That is the 77 of Simon Sharp.
Yeah, slight glance at the tyres there. Did well to hold on for that one. Contact warning for the 87 of Tony Philbin. So it is Smith ahead of Singh. Bryn Albans had a good start as well. The number 32 of Sam Morris has come through from the 5th row of the grid. It's up to P4. So if that top 4 have got a good opportunity now, Howard. They've got a gap. They've broken away. If they can work together, they'll have these 4 places into the B final sewn up.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith Segal battling away with George Lawler in the mid part of that lap and has managed to make the move stick. The 58 now ahead of the 48, but it is indeed Greg Smith who leads them at the end of lap 1, but not for long because there is Jagjit Singh down the inside of Smith. He's going to try and tuck underneath again back into 2, and Andrew Bushell is going to try and get into this as well in the 52. Singh and Bushell have a bit of pod-to-pod contact. You've got to be careful of that. You don't want to be getting... if you get an ABC bump and pass, that is your qualification for the B final done and dusted.
And there may be a cone penalty coming there. We saw a similar incident with, I want to say it was Rob Langthorpe earlier on this morning.
Yes.
So just watch out for the number 66, maybe receiving a 1-place cone penalty. Now, if it stays like this, that's fine. He's not going to get moved out to the top 4. There is a penalty for Tony Philbin, so he's had a bump and pass. He's currently down in 14th place. Apologies, not Bryn Albin in this race. It's because it's the same suit. Yeah. But Andrew Bushell there in 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely. Penalty for Tony Philbin, ABC bump and pass. 4 places to be deducted at the end of the race. Definitely not qualifying for the B final. As a result, Greg Smith still in the lead of this one. 1 lap on since Singh challenged him for the lead. And going down the order now, Andrew, James Dunnett and Tim Clark have come a cropper in some way, shape or form like that, right to the back of the pack.
Oh, I hate being right. Yep, cone penalty for Jagjit Singh. So he's got to finish 3rd or higher now to qualify through to the B final. If he finishes in 4th, even if the gap is huge behind him, to at the moment it is Robin Kassam, he will still lose the position. Having said that, Robin Kassam in the 110 is the fastest driver out there at the moment, a 56.530 last time around. The gap to Sam Morris there in 4th is 0.9 of a second.
Yep.
And Kassam took just over 3/10 out of Morris on that last tour of the circuit. Let's see what it is now. Jagjit Singh challenging Greg Smith for the lead of the race and gets forced there. Good hold. Really good hold from Jagjit Singh, but Greg Smith needs to be careful because I think that may be a contact warning, but it could have very easily been a forced driver wide. There's an overtake under yellow penalty now coming in for Simon Sharp.
Keith Segal's fallen off somewhere, Andrew, down to the back as well. But I tell you what, Jagjit Singh is lucky that the pit entry is where it is here at Bayford Meadows, because without the grip of that tarmac, he was going straight into the tyres at turn number 1, and he's got to be careful. And this is what we're talking about. There's no point throwing it all in to get that race. I know that you want to take a race win. You know,
And
it's a
little
natural
trophy.
racing drive and a little trophy indeed. A racing driver's mentality, absolutely through and through. But the bigger picture is that you can get more points by getting up into that B final. At the moment, it's okay as there's a cone penalty for Greg Smith. Cone penalty for Greg Smith, and that means that we've now got another penalty to take into account as Jagjit Singh, someone else who has a cone penalty hanging over him, takes second place back off of Andrew Bushell.
Right, the mental abacus is coming out now. So at the moment, you've got to remember that grid penalties are always applied from the back first. So Jagjit Singh's penalty would be applied before Greg Smith. So effectively, Andrew Bushell is in the lead of this race because he'd get hopped past Singh when he gets his cone penalty applied on the timing, and then he'd get past Smith as his penalty is applied on the timing.
But is unlikely to know it, so will still likely fight tooth and nail to try and stay in this top 4 is the key thing to bear in mind. Sam Morris, Andrew, I note, has done well here, I think, to stave off the attack from Robin Kassam. Has upped his pace significantly and is doing well there in the number 32. So that's one to bear in mind. New fastest lap of the race from Jagjit Singh. Is he going to try and challenge for the race win again? I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm just saying he's got to pick his moment carefully here. Otherwise, it could be, well, we could all end in tears, basically, in terms of getting into that B final. Just, I mean, if nothing else, folks, it's the most cost-effective way to race here. You get a free extra race. It always found, you know, it's your little lottery win, that. Whenever you get that.
Always how I like to do things when I did sprints, because Northern.
Yeah.
Greg Smith continues to lead the race on the road, though. Jagjit Singh's pace is good, though. 55.199 last time around, and he's closing in on Greg Smith. Who else is on the move?
Well, Tony Philbin up a couple of places on that last lap, but if memory serves correctly, he still has an ABC bump and pass penalty to be applied, so he's trying to negate those more than anything. As again, Singh is going to look for the lead of this race. This looks a slightly cleaner move here down the inside of turn 1. Gets the job done. Again, Greg Smith thinks about tucking under in time for turn 2, but can't get it done this time.
So for Andrew Bushell, that doesn't change anything at all. It's still these two drivers ahead of him who both have cone penalties. There's been an unsafe release penalty for Aaron Stillwell, so that's probably him returning to the circuit after an off-track moment. And somebody needing to take avoiding action as a result of that. There's a penalty for Rizwan Mangat as well. Bump and pass. A number of drivers ruling themselves out of the top 4 here, but also losing points in the midfield.
Aaron Stillwell, we covered unsafe release.
Yes, we have.
So have we covered what we're meaning by that one?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
5.5 minutes to go. Change of the lead will be confirmed in a moment's time as Jagjit Singh crosses the timing beam. There he goes. Greg Smith there in second place, ahead of Andrew Bushell. Slightly defensive line against Bushell there. Sam Morris still holding on to 4th place.
Gareth Pritchard passed Alex Brandon for 9th place as well, at the same time as Ross O'Brien gets by on Russell Cooper. Greg Smith having to go defensive here into hairpin 1 against Bushell.
I don't want to criticise too hard, but I would not be defending here. I would not be defending. I'd be working with Bushell because Bushell's got some tidy pace.
Yes, albeit you've got the one cone penalty hanging over you.
And you don't want to encourage Sam Morris and Robin Kassam back into the battle because it really is a thing round here at Bayford Meadows. If you start fighting with other drivers, you lose stacks of time round this circuit, with it being by far the most technical circuit that we go to on the season. I mean, let's just have a look at it. Singh does a 55.1. These two guys are in the 55.8s now. Morris and Kassam 55.7, 55.6.
Yep.
So I know Greg won't be able to hear me right now, but watching this back, try and keep working with a driver in this situation because it can encourage those behind. What's happened to Singh?
Problem Singh. Singh has got an issue with his cart and has just lost all sorts of time there and is down to 3rd. Is he back up to speed now? It looks like he's okay, but something there, Andrew. There was some issue there. His cart bogged down or something in the lower. He seems unhappy, but he's able to keep up with Bushell now down the back straight. That was a dramatic moment there, and now Singh. Well, I mean, as you say, there's a gap back to Sam Morris, so he should be all right. But he has got a 1-place deduction to be applied. He'll be paranoid now. I would have thought about that happening to him again.
I don't know whether it's a cart issue or whether he just ran wide and clipped some tyres and was questioning the position of the tyres.
Maybe.
Maybe. He was very, very slow
Yep.
off of turn 4. He seems back up to speed now. 3.5 minutes to go. Contact warning for Ross O'Brien. Right, so and look, Sam Morris is getting on the pace now, 55.4. They could just see him there in the back of shot. 1.6 seconds is the gap. The trouble is, he's pulling Robin Kassam with him. As down the inside there goes Jagjit Singh. He's going to let him back through, and look at this.
You're losing time.
You're losing time.
Massive time by doing this. Just pick your moment. Pick your moment if the move is on. If the move isn't on, hold station.
Yep.
Hold station, because it's going to pay dividends when you get your extra opportunity to score bigger points, let's not forget, in the B final. That's what it's all about here. Unless you're really, I mean, as I say, don't get me wrong, there is a little trophy that you get for winning this, and it'll look very nice on your mantelpiece. But eyes on the prize, and the prize here is points.
So the driver that will be licking their lips at the moment isn't necessarily Sam Morris on your screen at the moment in P4. It's the driver behind him, Robin Kassam. At the moment, he's got nothing to lose. He's sat in 5th place. It's the worst place to be in a C final because he's the first of the ones not going through onto the B final. He will just keep hoping in his mind, come on, fight, guys. Let me get back into this, because 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go on the clock. That's still a good amount of time to make some moves, even if it's on the last lap or two.
Yep. Peter Sharp and George Lawler starting to close up as well behind. So this could, I mean, I don't want to overhype it, but if they do start really battling in the last few laps, and we've already seen a fair few, I think we've already seen, Andrew, a fair old reluctance to work together here. If this really starts to be a gloves-off battle, it really could bring a lot of these drivers into it. And I think you can sort of detect from Greg Smith a will to sort of, I want to get up the road ahead of all of this, because I feel this is about to all kick off. Andrew Bushell is your net leader of the race, don't forget, though he may not himself yet be aware of that, because Greg Smith has a 1-place deduction to be applied at the end of the race for a cone penalty. So too does Jagjit Singh there in 3rd place in the number 66. Andrew Bushell in 2nd and Sam Morris in 4th are thus far penalty-free. We've got 1.25 minutes left on the clock with this C final. Russell Cooper's just got past Rizwan Mangat. That's in a battle over 14th place. James Dunnett as well, getting by Matt Cliff on that last lap as well for 21st. Some drivers on a bit of a recovery here, trying to get as many points as they can out of this one. For all but 4 of these drivers, this will be the last time they race in this Club 100 2021 sprint season, as we go on to the last lap.
Well, the top 3 have got themselves organised now as Jagjit Singh goes down the inside of Andrew Bushell. That's okay. Bushell correctly just gave a bit of room there to Singh. Let him get through. It's not going to affect things in terms of grid position for himself. There is a very close battle going on, though, for 4th place.
Yep.
Sam Morris is now under pressure from Robin Kassam. That is the last spot in the B final that you're looking at on your screen, folks. Can Sam Morris hold on to it? He's keeping it nice and cool through the middle sector. Greg Smith looking to win another C final. He's got a good gap over Jagjit Singh behind, but of course has still got that cone penalty hanging over him, so he's going to lose that C final win to Andrew Bushell. There was a little bit of a worry on our parts that this top 3 weren't getting themselves organised, but they did in the end. Greg Smith takes it on the road, Jagjit Singh 2nd, but it's Andrew Bushell who'll take the win, and there's a celebration from Sam Morris, who's qualified for the B final. A great drive from Sam Morris under extreme pressure from Robin Kassam in 5th. Sharp was in 6th, Lawler 7th, Gareth Pritchard 8th, Tony Philbin with penalties finishes on the road in 9th. Good drive from Kim Ely as well, up to 10th place. Alex Brandon, Aaron Stillwell, Ross O'Brien, Russell Cooper and James Browning was your top 15. Rizwan Mangat in 16th, David Hamer in 17th, Tim Clark in 18th, Simon Sharp in 19th. A real shame for Keith Segal, who deserved a lot more than 20th place in the C final today. James Dunnett, Matthew Cliff and Gratchan Kalvinsky. That was your runners in the lightweight sprint C final for Bayford Meadows, round 11.
Yes, indeed. The top 4 will be confirmed and will repechage onto the back of the grid for the B final, which is coming up next for you here at Bayford Meadows. Let's take a look at your grid then for this B final. It'll be Archie Hobson We've got another biscuit fan
connoisseurs on pole position.
That's how we're doing it here today for the final round on pole position with Jack O'Neill on the B final grid. Only 2 spots get you a promotion up into the A final. Jack O'Neill needs one of those if he's going to have anything like the kind of result that we come to expect from him, or have come to expect from him. Rob Langthorpe and Josh Sangster are your second row, with Chris Lewis-Evans and Callum Brule on row number 3. Row 4 is going to be Sam Essery, the highest placed of your Class 3 drivers off the back of the heats. Had a really good day's running so far, with Rogerio Mendez alongside. Justin Draper and Bryn Alban round out your top 10. Rihanna Percox, another Class 1 driver there, down in this B final, with Oscar Lancaster alongside. Matthew Cockram and Dean Everest are on row number 7. It'll be Michael Preston and Toby Smith on row 8. Jed Toole and Christopher Powell on row number 9. Rounding out your top 20, bigger grids, of course, as we go through these finals. Thomas Barrett and Dom Cliff, Amy Breacher and Andy Berry are your 11th row. And then joining them on the back of the grid, now confirmed as your top 4 from that one, are going to be Andrew Bushell, who won that C final, Greg Smith, alongside, and then it'll be Jagjit Singh and Sam Morris, now your confirmed promotees from that C final.
Well, there is a driver that at the start of the day we weren't expecting to be in this B final, but in this B final he is.
He's also not in a cart.
He's clearly very happy though. That's the most important thing. Yeah, top 2, remember, go through from the B final into the A final. So Jack O'Neill will still be the favourite for this one. The start will be key, though, and I think the one thing that will be going through Jack's mind is like, oh, heck, I'm in P2.
Yep.
We have mentioned it before. P2 is, if I'm being honest, is not a nice place to start here at Bayford Meadows, because the first corner is so fast and so weighted towards being on the inside, and he can get forced out wide as well.
Yep.
That will, I think, be on his mind to go, well, if I can get through there and still be in, say, 3rd, maybe 4th, as people on the inside come through, we'll be all right. But if Jack gets forced out wide, as can happen, he could be 7th, 8th, 9th, and he's got a real job on his hand to work his way back into that top 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob Langthorpe as well, starting behind him there on the grid in the number 12, another Class 1 driver. I want to say that there was a heat where he and Rihanna Percox were both lying astern in sort of the mid-pack and were struggling to make progress up the field in maybe their second heat of the day. And it's interesting to see that they're both here in this B final. So with work to be done, they can't all make it, Andrew. Not all the Class 1s could make it by definition. There's more than 2 of them.
C3 situation. Have we managed to get any C3s into the A, or is Samuel Essery our effective?
We have got C3. So we've got Sam Essery, we've got Dean Everest, and we've got Amy Breacher and Andy Berry as well.
So that would suggest that there's none of them in the A final.
Yeah, no, I don't think we had any Class 3s in the A final. So Class 3 standings, or Class 3 finishes, are to be determined in this one. I'll double check that theory, but I'm fairly confident of that. I don't think I can see any Class 3s.
Nope, we're right there. So yeah, so this is a big race for C3. And seeing who's going to take the rewards in that one. Very short roll-up lap here at Bayford Meadows, because it's a very simple one. It's just a big oval around the outside. So we're already into position. Archie Hobson, one of our Warwick BUKC drivers of years gone by, has pole position. Jack O'Neill, champion already in the Lightweight Sprints Championship for 2021 on the outside, starting from P2. This is going to be a very, very interesting start. Away we go. It's a good start for those on the inside.
Wow.
Now, crucially, can Jack O'Neill get himself in and survive around the outside? He's going to run
Rob
wide.
Langthorpe out very wide there. Sorry, Andrew, my wow was just how poor the start from the anti-pole side is, and Bryn Alban's round. Or is it Bryn Alban? Or is it Bushell, having been promoted from the seat? No, it was
Bushell got through.
Apologies, yeah, it was Alban. You're absolutely right. Rob Langthorpe having to go side by side with Sam Essery on the start, as Oscar Lancaster and Rogerio Mendez are battling away, with Dom Cliff in the mid-pack as well. Amy Breacher is pushed out wide on the grass, but he's going to come back on the inside of hairpin 2. All very close in the mid-pack there, but Archie Hobson, Andrew, has had the dream start here as Rihanna Percox, goes up the inside of Sam Essery into turn number 8. So she has had a very strong start. Jack O'Neill trying to follow through after what was, Andrew, a difficult start for the 99.
Yeah, and it was as expected. you can get a little bit loaded sometimes when you start P2 on the grid.
It was a weak start for that anti-pole side of the grid
Yeah.
outright. It was very clearly, it was not an even start between the two sides of the grid there. Archie Hobson leads. Chris Lewis-Evans up to second place at the end of lap number 1, but with close attentions of Rob Langthorpe as Oscar Lancaster there goes down the inside of Thomas Barrett into turn number 1.
Plenty of time in this race for the likes of Langthorpe, Percox, and O'Neill to get through. But the thing is, you know, you've got Chris Lewis-Evans has been on good form today. A very good second heat.
Your Class 1 runners, sorry, Andrew, are 3rd, 4th and 5th right now, all just going, right, the promotion spots are ahead.
Yes.
We can't all have them. We can't all have them. And, you know, I think back to Chris Lewis-Evans had well, it wasn't a pole start, was it? It was a second on the grid start, but he managed to immediately get up into the lead earlier in one of his heats. He was not in the mood.
Very rarely done.
Yeah, he was not in the mood to, you know, not put up a good defence, as I recall. So this is going to be not the easiest challenge here as they cross the line. And Rhianna Percox would like to get by on Rob Langthorpe and be leading this Class 1 charge. But Rob Langthorpe has a good drive there. And, Chris Lewis-Evans had poor drive off the second corner and was gesturing to allow them through there, Andrew. And, well, Langthorpe and Percox have duly gone through on him.
Well, that's very sporting. Very sporting of Chris Lewis-Evans.
Oh, down the inside on Rhianna Percox. That's allowed O'Neill to take both of them in that hairpin. Brilliantly judged there by Jack O'Neill. Costly moment there for Rhianna Percox. She's not going to be too happy at this point after that exchange, and it's allowed Rob Langthorpe to get a bit of breathing space here, Andrew, in what is currently the lowest of the promotion spots, as that's Barrett looking down the inside of, is that Jed Toole? Oh, no, it's Cockram. It was Matt Cockram who was looking down the inside of there, because Lancaster, I think, has got
grey and blue.
Yep, it's got past both of them. Oh, no, he's in between them. And just, I think that might have been a tag of the tyres slightly. Might get away with that one on the inside of turn number 10. Hobson leads, Langthorpe in second, ahead of O'Neill and Lewis-Evans.
Critical couple of laps now for Archie Robson and Rob Langthorpe, and it will be very telling to see what the gaps are in about 50 seconds' time. At the moment, it's a 0.8 second gap between Langthorpe and Hobson, and it's pretty much the same back to O'Neill as well.
Change for 4th place. Percox got by on Chris Lewis-Evans. Lewis-Evans clearly not happy going through that first corner, Andrew. He seems to be very compromised heading towards turn number 2 on both of the last 2 laps. But Percox already has... there's still a bit of a gap for her to make up here. If she's going to stay in touch with the opportunity to get promoted, she's got to be quick about it, because the pace at the front is, I think, the heat is going to be turned up to 11 now. Archie Hobson is, well, he's got a fair amount of experience as Hobson.
You see Jack O'Neill there. He's clearly having fun today, which is really good to see. You can see him encouraging the car. See, he's talking to inanimate objects as well. It's like, come on, get the waft, let's get going.
Well, he's being nice to him.
That is true. That is true.
On the tail of Rob Langthorpe. And I was going to say, Hobson with a fair amount of experience here, but one does get the feeling he's sitting on a bit of a powder keg here of a battle for these last 2 promotion spots at the head of this B final. Dom Cliff gets by Matthew Cockram for 9th place further down. It's been something awkward has happened there for Amy Breacher. She's down to the back of the field, unfortunately. Can't see any penalties for taking a driver out yet, so not sure what happened there. Rogerio Mendez by an Andy Berry as well for 15th place. Good battles going on throughout the field in this B final, Andrew, but our eyes for the most part are at the front amongst these drivers going for the promotion. Is that Langthorpe letting O'Neill through? Now, is that tactical?
I think that was tactical.
To effectively launch a missile ahead of the lead of the race, but that is one heck of a gamble to take. I suppose you just don't. I don't want to lose time. I don't want to lose time trying to defend. You go ahead. Jack, maybe you can prise open the door for me to get a second place that I can hold on to.
I think you're absolutely spot on there, Howard, and I probably would have done the same if I was Rob Langthorpe in that situation. It is very circumstantial. The driver that you've got ahead, you know, they can pull you in. You can learn something off a driver like Jack O'Neill, and even if it's for a couple of laps, you're just able to hold on to that rear bumper and even a little bit of slipstream round here. Pull yourself back to Archie Hobson and try and get past Hobson in the latter stages of this race. Look, Jack O'Neill is on to Archie Hobson already. Now, won't risk a big one here, and there is a yellow flag out as well.
Yep.
Because for Jack O'Neill, doesn't matter whether he wins this race or finishes second, he'll be through to the A final.
There is a penalty for Toby Smith for taking another driver out.
Now, this is where it is a risk for Langthorpe, because if Jack O'Neill's quite happy to just sit there behind Archie Hobson for a lap or two, it's going to help Archie. He's going to be receiving a little bit of a bump draft from behind. Push that gap out. This is a very intriguing B final in how this is all going to play out. And Rihanna Percox is still there as well, in fourth place.
Yep, catching up to the back of Rob Langthorpe. Took half a second out of him last lap, in fact. So this is an important point indeed, Andrew. What is it that there's a driver going
Andy
slow
Berry.
there, Andy Berry. And yeah, Jack O'Neill on the tail of Hobson, and is he going to be able to tuck underneath here,
Nope.
heading towards turn 2? And Hobson's going to let him through as well.
Yep.
Well, that's what having success. And Hobson knows.
Yep.
That means that Hobson's wise to it as well. It's like, yeah, I don't want to lose that time, but it matters not, I think, Andrew, because Langthorpe and Percox are right with him now, and one would suppose that based on prior form coming into this, one would suppose that O'Neill's now going to pull away, and it's now going to be a slogging match between the remaining 3 of this pack for who gets that final place.
And this is what we want to see as neutrals in the box. A proper scrap to get into that A final, which could be an unpredictable race in itself. Rihanna's wide there. That may be a TLW for Rihanna.
We've been corrected here in the box. I was getting a bit too excited about 3 decades of Club 100.
Oh, down the inside goes Percox on Langthorpe.
That's crucial. That
Did
is a crucial
get a track
move.
limit warning, though.
Yeah. But that is a big move there, as you say, Andrew. So, yeah, sorry, I'm getting a bit excited about Club 100 hitting 30 years on. It started in 93. I think I said 91 earlier. Sorry. Nevertheless, plenty of years that Club 100 has been going. And, yeah, just underlines, I think, how, we've been in a lot of conversations this weekend, mate, where we were getting excited about the additions being made, the Young Drivers' Champ, the cadets, a lot of excitement that as we approach 30 years, Club 100 is adding these things to its portfolio to give a full-on ladder, and that is Rihanna Percox pushing hard there to get onto the tail of Archie Hobson. If that was right on the limits of track limits, if not flirting with going over it.
I think that was one of those where you're looking for the ball being grounded on the line.
Paying off so far, though. She's right on the tail, though. And this is the moment for Hobson.
The tyres were just there, but Hobson's under a lot of pressure. These two have experienced racing against one another in the BUKC in years gone by. You can watch the qualifiers next weekend from Wilton Mill on both Saturday and Sunday. It's 54 teams. Well, actually, no, 126 teams try and qualify for the mains championship. 54 of them will make it. The rest will not. 3 minutes to go. Can Archie Hobson hold on? And actually, I shouldn't count Rob Langthorpe out of this, because he's got BUKC experience as well, of course, for Newcastle.
Yep.
Jack O'Neill has checked out, though. You can see that over his shoulder. And calmly run this one home now. And yeah, he's in the mid-54s. We know Jack O'Neill can go a lot quicker than that.
It has been a tough day. I just want to mention that Christopher Powell is the other Class 1 runner who's not at the forefront here. He's having a bit of a tough one, I think it's fair to say. Battling at the moment with Andrew Bushell, winner of the C final. As Hobson's going very defensive, but Percox is getting impatient. He's going to try around the outside. That's a risky move because it's going to open the door for Langthorpe potentially. It stays as they were, but both Percox and Langthorpe trying to get a switchback move in many respects onto the back straight.
I was worried there that Archie had gone too defensive and was going to compromise his exit, but actually dealt with it very, very well.
Good battles going on further down, has to be said. Let's see... Callum Brule's a driver who's had a difficult one as well, I think, battling away with Bryn Alban now. So Sam Essery, we should say, is the next driver down the road from this in 5th place. And then Oscar Lancaster in 6th, 7th for Chris Lewis-Evans. Don Cliff has just got by on Thomas Barrett. As once again, Hobson's going to go defensive, but that's going to open the door surely for Percox this time. He's going to have to hang it on the inside of 4. Rob Langthorpe still can't find a way to capitalise on all of this battling ahead of him. I really thought that was going to be it for Hobson then, mate, but he able to hang on. He is defending this one valiantly.
Rihanna made a good decision there. That
Yes.
is a correct contact warning, but if she'd pushed through and taken the move, it would have been an ABC.
Yes.
So just holding off there, covering Rob Langthorpe's charge to go down the inside third was a wise piece of driving in that situation. The trouble is, though, time is running out. 1 minute to go. There'll be one more lap. There'll be one more lap, I think, for Jack O'Neill.
I have to say, it would take quite the hold-up at this point. But Sam Essery is taking half a second a lap for the last couple of laps out of these three.
Hold that thought. I think Jack O'Neill might have crossed the line with 55-point-something seconds on the clock. Now, if he has, this is going to go longer. This is going to be a 14-lap race and not a 13-lap race. This is going to be very, very crucial for this battle.
Yes.
For Archie Hobson, does he need to defend for 1 lap or 2 laps? We don't know at this point.
He's had a good last few corners. He's just got far ahead enough that he can... Rihanna was too far back there to try and to turn 8, and by and large, you're secure now up until the chicane, and it takes quite the move to get by into the chicane, although Percox is strong through this part of the lap, isn't it? She's going to be all over the back of Archie Hobson going into turn number 1. The last lap it is indeed, mate. You were bang on with your assumption there with Jack getting by. So O'Neill on the last lap here, but it is all about this battle for who can get into the A final, the last promotion spot. Hobson's going to go defensive. He's going to hang it to the inside of 3.
Good.
That's much better than we saw a couple of laps ago, but it's still going to be pressure coming into the hairpin. He's defending as if his life depends on him. There's the move from Langthorpe down the inside of Percox, and that isn't going to pay dividends for him because Percox is going to swoop back on the inside, but this is the lifeline potentially that Hobson needs.
Yeah, that was a really good moment for Archie Hobson, even though he probably wasn't aware of it, because it meant Percox could not attack into turn number 6. They're going round into the faster section of circuit now. There's got to be, I think, one more opportunity for Percox to get through, but she's got to be right on the rear bumper through this corner. She's not there, and it's going to be Jack O'Neill taking the B final. But what a drive that is from Archie Hobson. Well done, Archie. Second place through to the A final. That is one of Archie's best full Club 100 drives I think I've ever seen him have. Good to see another BUK seer coming through to the 4. Rihanna Percox in 3rd, Rob Langthorpe 4th. Samuel Essery completes a fantastic season in C3 as the C3 champion and the C3 winner here today in 5th. Oscar Lancaster in 6th. Dom Cliff 7th, Chris Lewis Evans in 8th, Jed Toole and Greg Smith's the top 10. That's a great drive from Greg up from the C final. Thomas Barrett, Rogerio Mendez, Michael Preston take us to 13th. Justin Draper is 2nd in C3. Matthew Cochran rounds out the top 15. Joshua Sangster in 16th. Jagjit Singh is also on the C final podium. That's a great drive as well from the C final onto the C3 podium. Bryn Albon recovered to 18th after his early spin. Callum Brule, a tough day there in 19th. Dean Everest was inside the top 20. Christopher Powell, 21st. Andrew Bushell, Amy Breacher, Sam Morris, Toby Smith, and Andy Berry. Andy Berry was a retirement there, the one retirement of the 26 runners. They're in the B final. Good race, that.
Yep. Very good race. Really showed I think we've had 2 finals that really show the dynamics of this promotion system really, really well. But some brilliant battles going on throughout the field there for certain. I think it's probably time that we stored up a bit of, not caught our breath, but just took a breather because up next is the A final, and we've seen the grid. So that's coming up next for you here on your Alpha live stream here at Bayford Meadows. Right then, let's take a look at your grid. Super GT, Steve Brown is on pole for your A final here. Reese Pope, who, I'll remind you all, is one of the drivers contesting for 2nd in the Class 2 standings within the championship today. He's not going to be in the mood to mess about in 2nd place, but just underlines quite how good a series of heats he had as a Class 2 runner to be there overall 2nd on the grid. Daz Teal and Fraser Brunton are on row number 3. And it's going to be Ed Bars and Josh Adams on row number 4. Aidan Rogers had a stellar day as well, getting there into 9th place on the grid. Mike Philippou alongside to round out a very, very tasty top 10. James Martin has been battling through the heats there, has Dan Seeger next to him. Steve Hicks and Steph Theodoro are on row 7. Dante Dillon and Alistair Irvin are on row number 8. Then it's Stephen Westwood and birthday boy Bailey Morgan there on row number 9. Mike Coppin, perhaps a little bit further down than he'd have expected to be. A few penalties playing into that position on the grid. Ned Douglas rounding out your top 20. James Wattis and Anwar Burrell-Smith are on row number 11. What can Burrell-Smith do in his little cameo appearance here in the lightweights? Garrett Berry and Andrew Rabbage are on row number 12. And then joining those carts as well are your 2 promotees from the lightweight B final, now confirmed as B final winner. Jack O'Neill did manage to get himself onto this A final grid, and such good defence to get him up into this race of 26 carts. Archie Hobson in the number 33.
I'm going to give you a task, mate, whilst the practice laps are going on. When was the last time the pole sitter won an A final?
Ooh, okay, I'll have a look for you.
You may have to look at some heavyweight tables.
I may have to look at some heavyweight tables.
But yes.
I'm being given homework here on a weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, sir.
Get on with it. This is another wide open lightweight A final. And as I say, Steve Brown on his return, pole position. Fraser Brunton out there as well. He's been very strong today.
These are warming up laps, by the way. I just want to confirm, because it doesn't look like it.
Daz Teal, who has been the man recently in the A finals, is on a winning streak at the moment that includes Lyd last time out and Wilton Mill before that. So he's a driver who, we keep mentioning it, before the win 2 rounds ago, hadn't won any of these A finals for 18 months. Can he make it 3 in a row? I think Jack O'Neill there has got his hand up to say he's probably going to be coming into the pits.
So the last pole sitter to win an A final
so the last time our pole sitter, without mentioning his name.
The last time our pole sitter?
Yes.
The one coming into this one?
Yes.
Right, sorry.
Because I've said this stat before and cursed it.
Okay.
So you're going for your championship tables of previous years.
Sorry, I misunderstood the assignment, sir, and my dog ate it. Bear with me.
Reece Pope there, who has been fantastic today. He could be a factor in this final. It's not going to be this year.
It's not going to be this year. Good point.
And Ed Barrs, last race, he'll have that number 1 cart plate on his cart, so at least for now. He'll want to finish this well.
No, I'm not going to guess it. I think I know which one it is now.
He's still working on it, folks. Keep your comments coming in. If you're enjoying the coverage as well, and you haven't already, do please make sure you've clicked that subscribe button for Alpha Live. James Fitchew will like you very much if you do that, and the channel's cracking on to 20k subscribers, so thank you for your continued support.
Is it the controversial finish at Butmore that I'm thinking of?
Quite possibly. Quite possibly. As I say, it was in the heavyweights. Well, there's one. I can see one there, and there's another one a little bit later on in the season. So at least looking at, what are we looking at? Round 8 of 2019 in the heavyweights, which was at Wilton Mill on the 8th of September 2019.
Nope, wasn't on pole though.
It wasn't on pole that day, but that was the last time Steve Brown, unless he won one very early on in 2020 in the heavyweights.
No, I've checked that.
It's the last time Steve Brown won a Club 100 Sprint A final. Can he break that duck here today? Can Daz Teal continue his streak of A final wins, or is it going to be someone else? I think we're going to go around one more time.
I'm just going to see if he did. Did he start on pole at round? We might be going back even further for when he's done a lights to flag win.
Yeah, I think he's had a final pole position more recently than that. I want to say one of the Wilton streams last year in 2020 he had pole position.
So yeah, it was round 8 2019 when our pole sitter last won one. Either way. But yeah, this is going to be. I'm sure we've got plenty of flans. Maybe we've got some flans. What I was thinking of was fans. I'm sure we've got plenty of fans tuning in for this one. But it's a really, really impressive top 10, this grid, isn't it, mate?
It is. And the early laps of this race, I feel, are going to be crucial. If someone can break away from the pack, they may have a good chance here that the others cannot overcome. Here we go then. A final time in the lightweights for Club 100 at Bayford Meadows to finish the season. Away we go. Good start for Steve Brown. Can Reese Pope get in P2? It's the difficult thing of starting in P2. He's having a good fight with Daz Teal, but I think Teal has got second place. Has a look down the inside of Brown for P1. But off of turn number 4, that's the first difficult bit of the job done for Steve Brown. He's held onto the lead from pole position.
Absolutely. I haven't mentioned as well, as to Irvin further down the field, he wants to try and catch Reese Pope
Yep.
in all of this as well. There's a few championship permutations out there as well, but it is indeed Steve Brown ahead of Daz Teal down this back straight. Ed Bars is under pressure from Josh Adams, who puts a cheeky move in there down the inside of turn 8. Ed Bars is going to try and hang it up the inside. Owen Genman looking to capitalise, and he does get through on Josh Adams, so that was that didn't quite come to fruition there, that attempt by Josh Adams, as good as I think it was. It was well judged there, but unfortunately didn't go his way. At the end of that one, though, it is Steve Brown. Daz Teal, crucially, though, Andrew, in the latter part of that lap, to my mind, managed to close the gap a bit again.
Big move down the inside from Josh Adams on Owen Genman. Owen Genman on pace is probably one of the favourites for this race, and that's a bold statement from the youngster, Josh Adams, to overtake for 7th place.
Jack O'Neill up to 20th place on that first lap. Andrew, he's working up the field. What can he do? Mike Coppin not able to make quite as much progress, only up 2 positions there. James Wattis up to 15th on that first lap as well. Good effort there throughout the field, but those are some of your biggest movers. Garrett Berry as well, actually up 4 as well. But not a lot of spread in this field in the early stages here. So much pace under these drivers.
If it has Teal, you've got to work with Steve Brown at the moment and get that gap out to Reese Pope. Let's have a look at the times as they come over the line. Daz Teal took a fantastic victory 2 weeks ago at Lydd. There's another popular victory in the paddock. The gap is just under 7. He's gone down the inside. He's gone down the inside of Steve Brown. It's a clean move and has taken the lead. Daz Teal leads Mr. A final in the autumn of 2021. He's at it again.
Yeah, this is another impressive turn of pace here from Daz Teal. Reese Pope still in 3rd place. There, Fraser Brunton as well. What a great showing it is from him today. There in 4th place.
Round this tricky section now. The grip not at a premium, especially today. Cart wants to understeer away from you, but that is a big lap from Daz Teal. He has the lead as they finish lap number 3, but it's closed everything up. Reese Pope is there in 3rd place with the blue and black helmet. Fraser Brunton in 6th. Fastest driver out there at the moment, though, is Ed Bars in 6th place. Down the inside goes Reese Pope. It's happening again for Super GT. We've seen this before. Him get the pole position in the A final, but just not quite have the speed in the longer race format to hold on for victory.
Yeah, absolutely. And when Andrew was talking about Mr. A final, Daz Teal has won the last 2 rounds. Just so happens we've been able to stream that as well. If Daz would like to hire myself and Andrew to commentate on all aspects of life such that we bring him such good fortune, then we're open
We
for
can
discussions.
talk about that.
We can talk about it in both senses of that. But yeah, this would be his 3rd straight round victory to close out a very impressive end to his season. My goodness, what a momentum that would be going into a 2022 campaign. Ed Bars staying in touch with Dan Healy there in 5th place. Mike Philippou past Aidan Rudge up into 9th place on that last lap, and Jack O'Neill up into 16th place ahead of Bailey Morgan. But it's the calibre of this field is just so impressive at the end of this one. Reese Pope, I have to say as well, is closing the gap on Daz Teal here. This is fantastic stuff from the number 42 driver. And, I mean, as it currently, we've been talking a little bit about his battle with Alistair Irvin for 2nd in the Class 2 standings. This would very much seal the deal for Reese Pope. And I think in that situation, we'll have to take the hat off to him. He really has taken this round by the scruff of the neck. And it's showing well here. Look at this, Fraser Brunton trying down the inside of Steve Brown into turn number 1 and gets the move done. Nice, clean move there by Fraser Brunton in the number 71, now up into third place. Does that cause the dam to break here? Is Dan Healy looking for an opportunity? He was having a bit of a look, half in attack, half in defence against dead bars, if anything else as well, but can't find the way through yet. Steve Brown looks to have got back onto his rhythm, having been demoted another spot, and that's now might be the close of business there for Dan Healy to try and get by for now. Owen Genman still staying in touch with this on the back of it as well. Mike Philippou trying to get onto terms with this in the 166 down in 9th place as well. But at the moment, it's a top 8 as your sort of main pack at the front of this field. Track limit warning for Owen Genman. Jack O'Neill's just got by on Mike Coppin. Those are two extremely successful drivers having a battle over, perhaps unusually for them, 15th place. But O'Neill is through. And that leaves Mike Coppin. There he is in the number 3, under pressure from the 14 of Bailey Morecambe. But Garrett Berry is himself putting pressure there. Brilliant battles all the way through this Club 100 A final in your lightweights for round 11 of 2021. It's the last round of the championship. And we've spoken about how, to a large extent, so many of the championship battles have been sealed up here. It's just about what can you get. And that was Ed Bars going through on Steve Brown as well. Ed Bars in the number 1. Going through and up into 5th place. So Steve Brown down another place there. Daz Teal still leading. Reese Pope staying with him. In fact, Reese Pope is as close as he's ever been to Daz Teal here as they come round to finish lap number 6. Here we go, on to a new lap. Personal best, fastest lap from Reese Pope. Fastest lap of the race from Fraser Brunton of 54 dead. It's all closing up nicely here at the front of the field. Change of position for 5th confirmed on the timing now. Bars now ahead on your timing towers. And if you're watching along on our Double Dash stream as well, you can see that on your timing again. And indeed, live.alphatime.co.uk/club100. You can be such a nerd along with us here on your stream today. Here we go on to the back straight though. Reese Pope still keeping Daz Teal very honest at the head of this field. Alistair Irvine past Anwar Barrell-Smith for 19th place further down the order.
Just to confirm, the spreadsheet of doom has called it, as things stand, this would be Reese Pope in the very last race of the year, overhauling Alistair Irvine for 2nd place in C2.
Yep.
There's nothing Alistair Irvine can do about this at the moment.
Nope.
Fraser Brunton, a lovely switchback there from Fraser Brunton to take 2nd place. Dan Healy's now trying to get involved in it. He's won an A final round here in previous editions of the Sprint Championship when they visited Bayford Meadows, and Ed Bars is resuming the rivalry as well. It's a great top 5 still. 4 minutes of this to go.
I didn't know you were allowed to sell the dummy like that unless you had a moustache and were driving a red 5. But anyway, yeah. That is Reese Pope having to go very defensive against Dan Healy. But again, just as we saw earlier on with Steve Brown, Healy, oh no, here goes Healy for it down the inside of turn 8, just as I was about to say, he can't find the way through. He's done it. That's put Pope out wide as well, and Ed Bars is going to go around the outside of turn number 9. And that is all change, please. That is now Daz Teal, Fraser Brunton, Dan Healy, Ed Bars, and Reese Pope, your top 5.
Reese Pope is still in a position where he would get the points advantage over Irvine at the end of the season. There's Steve Brown still plugging away in 8th place, and down the inside was that. So no, it's side by side. Here we go for one last time, ladies and gentlemen. The number 1, the number 2 from last season. It's going to be number 2 and number 3 for 2022, and Healy has held on to the position ahead of Ed Bars.
Further down the order, Dan Seeger gets by on Aidan Rudge. That's over 10th place. Both of those drivers having a really good day to feature so prominently in a field that as strong as what we're commentating on here. Garrett Berry ahead of Bailey Morgan for 17th place as well. As you say, mate, there's not a lot Alistair Irvine can do. This is such a strong field to try and make up places here.
And he's just got a cone penalty as well.
Yeah. Jack O'Neill up to 15th place. I mean, that's our champion who's yes, okay, he's come right from the back of this grid. But still, it's hard to make progress up through this field. Under 3 minutes now left on the clock. Daz Teal leads by 0.3 of a second from Fraser Brunton. Dan Healy there in 3rd place. But Ed Bars has just set the fastest lap of the... currently has the fastest lap of the race, I should say. But he's still hounding the back of Dan Healy. Through hairpin number 2 comes the leaders. And then they'll go through turn number 7 here. onto the back straight, into this swooping left-hander here at turn number 8. And who's that defending in the background? That looked like Genman having to defend against Steve Brown. Is that Super GT putting in a move in the back? Well, he was trying, I think, but he couldn't make it stick. Still Josh Adams ahead of Genman and Brown. That's 6th, 7th and 8th at the moment. Probably the calmest lap of the race, that one, so far, as we come on to lap number 12. Daz Teal still controlling this one, but Fraser Brunton has taken another 10th out of him on that last lap. How good has Fraser Brunton been today at Bayford Meadows? In fact, I'm just going to check.
You read my mind. 1 minute and 40 to go. What an intriguing battle this is. One of the most experienced, I hope he doesn't mind me using this word, oldest drivers in this A final versus one of the youngest. Who's going to take this A final victory? 1 minute and 20 to go.
Well, I'm just looking. Fraser Brunton has had an impressive turn of form at this season. He's also had 2 second places out of the last 3 rounds. In fact, if it were to finish like this, this is the top 2 finish that we had 2 rounds ago at Wilton Mill.
I don't think Fraser Brunton's won an A final before.
No, sorry, that was. I think you're correct. He has not taken a win.
Took his first podium at Rye House, I want to say last year.
Yeah, but I don't think he's ever had a round victory. You're absolutely right, mate. So he'll be chasing this one. There'll be one more lap after this, so he's got about a lap and a half to try and execute the pass. And you know what? He's got a fair amount of space to do it in, relatively speaking.
He's not been at all the rounds this year, Fraser Brunton. It's been a big year for him in terms of education exams. He's moving on to university. But every time he's been here, he's been on form and getting stronger and stronger. And I do think this is a driver who, if he continues into 2022, is going to be a championship contender. There's a penalty for Anwar Barul-Smith, ABC bump and pass. We're on to the last lap. Daz Teal going for 3 in a row. Ed Bars has just set the fastest lap of the race at 53.954. But can Fraser Brunton find a way through to win his first ever A final in Club 100 sprints? Superbly defended there by Daz Teal into turn 3. That was a big opportunity for Brunton that he simply didn't have the opportunity to get up the inside. Teal defends again, and all the while, Healy and Bars are coming into this.
They are, but they're battling amongst themselves, Andrew. I think they might be doing a bit of a favour for Brunton here because they are still squirreling around with each other for 3rd place.
Oh, I thought Brunton was going to go for the switch back there, but Teal's defended it brilliantly. This is all the wisdom of Daz Teal. This is what we've seen over the last few weeks. This is what gave him the win at Lydd. It's what gave him the win at Wilton Mill. Is he going to do it again? There's going to be one more chance for Fraser Brunton. He hadn't won one for 18 months. It's 3 in a row for Daz Teal in the Club 100 lightweight sprints. What a way to finish his season. A top 5 spot in the championship is more than confirmed for Daz Teal. Fraser Brunton will have to wait to another day, but it will come. It's another 2nd place for Fraser Brunton in the A final. What a drive from him. Dan Healy finishes another fantastic season in 3rd. 4th for Ed Bars. A valiant last day with the number 1. Reece Pope wins in C2 and by our calculations is 2nd in the C2 Championship in lightweights this year. A fantastic day's racing to 5th in the A final. Top 2s in all 3 heats. What a piece of racing. Owen Genman in 6th place. Didn't quite have the speed in the final. Josh Adams 7th. 8th for the returning Super GT. Steve Brown in the top 10. Mike Philippou 9th. Dan Seeger is on the podium in C2. 10th overall. Completing that podium in C2 is Aidan Rudge. He's been fantastic today in 11th place. Steve Hicks 12th. James Wattis 13th. 14th. James Martin. Jack O'Neill from the back finishes 15th in the A final. And you saw him there congratulating Daz Teal. Great sportsmanship from your 2021 lightweight sprints champion. Where do we get up to? Garrett Berry in 16th. Bailey Morgan 17th on his birthday. 18th for Anwar Barul-Smith. 19th for Dante Dillon. 20th for Mike Coppin. 21st for Alistair Irvin. A valiant effort from him as well in C2. We'll see him in C1 next season. Steph Theodoru, Stephen Westwood, Andrew Rabbich, RG Hobson and Ned Douglas complete your 26 finishes in that A final. But Daz Teal, always a popular winner in Club 100. And who'd have thought this before we started the streamed run to the end of the season? 3 A-final victories in a row in the lightweights. Could it continue into 2022?
I was just thinking the exact same thing, mate. What does this mean lies in store for us in 2022? A lot of, discussions about what drivers want to do with their 2022. I know that there are some drivers who are, have been looking at some of the formats that are on Saturdays and all that sort of stuff. So we don't know that everybody who we're talking about here is necessarily going to choose to mount a campaign in the Sprints Championship, such as the range of championships that you have to choose from in Club 100. But Daz Till's been doing the sprints for years.
Yep.
And this is the most impressive form that we've seen him in. I think you've got to say. So this is going to be, today has just made me look forward massively to 2022. I think it's, we've spoken about, you've got the people who we just saw at the sharp end there. We saw the incredible heat number 10 earlier on. If you've just joined us for the finals, you need to go back and watch heat number 10. I've got to say, that's possibly the best heat race I can think of this season.
Yep.
But you've got the Class 3s as well. Some of the Class 3s we've been talking about who next year are going to be stepping up into those Class 2 ranks, and that's going to be a fascinating one to watch as well. So I think today, I know we weren't looking so much at championship battles here. This afternoon, when we move into our heavyweight drivers, the key headlines have already been written in that one as well. But what today, I think, showed to me, Andrew, is just how exciting a season we could be going into 2022. And the key thing for these drivers is going to be to carry that momentum through the off-season. And what can they bring to bear in the early rounds of 2022, because it's going to be crucial to hit the ground running with that championship. Brilliant end to the season. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Before we wrap things up for lightweights in 2021, when will we next see the Lightweight Sprints Championship? Well, it'll be on the 27th of February 2022, where we will kick off the new season at Bookmoor Park. Entries opening up towards the end of this month.
Yes.
If you are a lightweight driver and you want to be involved, 75 kilograms is the weight limit. If you're below that, if you're lucky to be enough to be below that, you can always let it up. But 27th of February is where we will kick off the 2022 championship. Announced this week as well, round 2 will be at Wilton Mill on the 20th of March. Brilliant to see back on the calendar, Glannygores on the 8th of May. Hope people can turn out for that one. 26th of June, we're at Clay Pigeon. 10th of July, we'll be back here at Bayford Meadows. Lyd will be our hosts for the 31st of July. Rye House, as we say, returning to Club 100 with relaying in new curbs for Rye House. Very intrigued to see how that's going to go on the 21st of August. Landau on the 18th of September. Or I should say Landau for our Welsh viewers. 9th of October, we'll be back at Wilton Mill. Ella Park for the 30th of October. 13th of November for Bookmoor Park. All of those dates remain provisional until the 31st of December 2021. But that is your 22 calendar. It's a belter, and we very much hope to be there.
Club100.co.uk is the place to go if you want details of any of that. If you're an experienced racer or you're someone who's looking to get into what is regarded as the highest level of arrive and drive karting in the UK, nay Europe, head over to club100.co.uk. All the details are there for you. Give the office a call if you've got questions. They're more than happy to help.
Well, that is it. That is Lightweight Sprints for 2021 done. Don't go anywhere. If you're on the YouTube stream with Alpha Live, do make sure you've clicked the subscribe button, the like button, and given the stream a share on your social media platform of choice. Because we are back this afternoon with it all again for the heavyweights. But thank you very much to the lightweights. Jack O'Neill is your champion for 2021. Congratulations to Peter Knight and Samuel Essery for their C2 and C3 championship wins. We will be back for more lightweight sprints action, as I say, on the 27th of February 2022. We hope to see you there. We hope to see you this afternoon for the heavyweights. If you're on Comsbox Cam, we'll have a new stream for heavyweights this afternoon. Thank you very much for watching this morning. My name's been Andrew Mather. He's been Howard Mitchell. Together we are DDMM Double Dash Motorsport Media. We'll see you back here at Bayford Meadows at 2 p.m. for the start of the heavyweights. Bye-bye.